Good morning. It is 8:30. We are here with Tom Gaines from Central Services for our weekly update. Welcome, Tom. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'll start with consent this week. Central Services only has one item on consent, and that's to approve the purchase of an electronic reader board for the Grant County Museum. Lowest bid received was from Marshall Sign in the amount of $13,747. The museum did receive a grant to pay for the cost of the sign, but there are costs for supplying electrical in the estimated amount of $3,500 to be paid out of the museum maintenance fund, which has a current balance of $155,299.
And we have to pay for that and then get reimbursed, right? I think that was
Yes, yeah. I assume it's a reimbursement grant. I don't know what kind of grant that they got.
Yeah,
So,
I think the city said we have to pay for it and then give them the invoice and then they'll reimburse.
That's pretty common. So let's see, as far as Central Services goes, as you are all aware, we did close on the property of the coroner's office. I also received on the same date an official letter from CFARB stating that we can perform our coroner's project under the alternative delivery method of grant, general contractor construction manager at risk, which is the same way we're doing the jail. So this morning, I told the architect to cut loose any civil we need to do and start on the basic design. We need that design, at least a footprint done, so that we can schedule a pre-application meeting with the city of Moses Lake and then move on from there. Some of the changes noted to me by Craig are the need for an isolation room, which had we been co-located with the hospital, they would have had that, but since we aren't, we'll need to add that. We did, at the very beginning, need 2 more offices after his accreditation was completed. That was one of the things that was noted. So we're adding that to the original plan. Full body X-ray and CT scanner room. And we may also have a room, I don't know, I need to ask Craig about this. I don't know what they do. The Spokane County Medical Examiner's office, they had a room that wasn't much bigger than a closet, but it was a room to hold DNA. It was little glass slides. And they had thousands of these things that once there's a request for DNA, you do that sampling, you keep it, you're the custodian of it. And I just thought about that over the weekend. I was like, wait a minute. I need to ask Craig if we have to have that there. So I don't think we currently have it, but something I don't want to overlook it. I was asked again last week by Joe Kunkel. Joe Kunkel, as you remember, is the project manager for Samaritan Hospital's project, about the meeting we scheduled but then canceled. Hospital is still looking for a meeting with the BOCC to get an understanding of the design fees and that kind of thing. So I can speak offline more about that or in executive session about the last thing I knew about that, but we need to resolve that.
Do you want to go into executive session so we can?
We can do it at the end.
Okay.
I've got quite a bit more to go over. So the HRCS building is progressing well. We are trying to be budget conscious, and you will see that reflected in the exterior of the building. That brick, the masonry on the outside of the building is the split rib masonry that's really hard to find. They had 130 blocks of it, a white block in Spokane, but they had pre-sold it to somebody else. So the mason couldn't find that anywhere that he looked, and he looked up and down the West Coast. So we had to there was an exit only door that was on the C Street facing side, the face of the dentist office. And we had to infill that because that was part of the project, but it's infilled with the same split face block that's going underneath the windows. We're replacing all the windows in there, but they're not full length windows like they were before. They're a standard size window so that we get that wall space back, for desks or whatever.
Right.
So we had to use a split face block to infill those, and we just had to use that same block to fill in that door. So you've got the face of this building in one block, and you're always going to know where this door used to be. It's pretty stark, but there's not a lot you can do if you can't find that type of.
We'll put a little tree in front of it or something.
Something, yeah. So
artificial tree, and we don't have to water it.
But I didn't want a special, it would have been a lot more expensive to special order a bunch of bricks, so, and I don't know how long that would have taken, so we just said, nope, let's just put up with it. So unfortunately, that was the choice we
Could
made.
we
but-
put a sign in front of it?
Yeah,
You know how you can make a large sign? It's
Yeah,
like
you
it was
can.
made to, we wanted this.
Courthouse that
Oh,
way,
boy.
so just point people down the street, so. Or, what, the other thing we might be able to put there. So I contacted Amazon and I still haven't heard back. I need to follow up. Those exterior Amazon drop boxes, because it's down at the end of the building. It's not near the entrance. I thought it would be great for the courthouse community, and even residents around here, if we had those Amazon, we have the FedEx and UPS boxes out there. Move them down to the other end of the building and put one of those Amazon drop boxes.
Yeah.
So that, instead of getting things shipped here, it could be at a drop box there.
Or even people that don't want stuff delivered to their house.
Right, because they're worried about porch pirates and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that would be very advantageous to everybody here, and
Sure.
that would block that, so.
That's a good idea.
Maybe that's the direction I'll go. So we still need to discuss furniture. We have a furniture layout, but I know that everybody's a little bit different on their furniture. We're trying to get the raise and lower desks, but not the entire desk, just the surface you need to control cost. We also it's Herman Miller like we've put everywhere else, but there's a high pressure laminate, which you all have on your desks upstairs. And then there's a fusion laminate. It's the exact same laminate, it's just the way it's applied. And my understanding of the difference is as long as you're not like dropping tools on it, you won't gouge it, you won't hurt it. If you put it in a maintenance office, then you'd be in trouble. But it's, I don't know, a third less on cost. So we're going with that. And I just want to have one meeting with HR and Blair just to go over it with the designer before I say yes and buy these desks and make sure they're.
Will some of the desks that they currently have move over there?
No, because then I'm gonna have to buy a desk for that space, right? And
Okay.
yeah.
Over here?
well, over there, but those desks won't work because they went from cubicles that had
Okay.
zero space
Okay,
to having their own office.
okay.
So they've struggled mightily to make that space work. You have to give HR a lot of credit. They've done a great job, and we've worked pretty hard to get desks that would fit in there for everybody. But there's just no way to have a private meeting in those cubicles, so that's one of the reasons why the move is there. We are looking at different things too. I do have some ideas. I even thought about moving the mailroom down to where I am. If I move over there, I don't know if that would work or not. GCTS could use that space. They're of course always running out of space, but if we move the mailroom down there, we would have a singular area for all shipping and receiving, and all the boxes could be brought there. But then I went over that with Kevin. We talked about it quite a bit. We may end up as a capital request next year, asking to add on to the maintenance shops out in the parking lot, and just adding a small building that could be the mail room out there. I really want to get shipping and receiving in one place because we continue to have packages delivered all over the place. They continue to block this door. I know that FedEx and UPS have a difficult time delivering to the courthouse because of where everybody is.
We use the area where they bring prisoners into the jail.
Well, that would have to be temporary though, because we don't know what we're going to do with that space. And there's not really a space where there's any kind of office for the mailroom person or the mail equipment. I mean, there's a small little office there, but it really wouldn't be ideal. But trying to find a spot where we can have all shipping and receiving, where everybody can just go and pick up their packages and get all of the UPS FedEx trucks out of our parking lots where we have all the public constantly coming in. So we're trying to figure out what best to do with that space down there once we move out. We're still working on that. I'd love to get maintenance out of a space that's supposed to be for belts, filters, and tools.
Well, we might have that. I mean, we're gonna have a lot more room over here too, so maybe
Yeah.
that would.
So we'll see. Yeah, we don't know if that's the best space, but so we're working on it. But we'll see what happens. anyway, I'm gonna try and get that scheduled. I need to get it scheduled soon because furniture doesn't come overnight.
Yeah, takes a bit.
It does take some time.
And sometimes
So
we're waiting on furniture, so.
they're also, yeah, this week they're gonna begin to work on the parking lot across the street. That whole parking lot had to be replaced. I did talk to the city about, you have, and kind of, if you look at, this strip in the middle of the table, you got the dentist building and its parking lot, you have an alley that belongs to the city, and you've got our parking lot that was done a couple of years ago. That alley is in really bad shape. And I called Rob Harris the other day to see if he wanted to talk to Sullen Construction about maybe just doing, a change order and paying for it. And he said that they have absolutely no money and there's no way they can do it. So I'm like, well, that's understandable, but it's too bad because it's in a really poor shape. The new roof has been completed. Of course, the building's been straightened out, so there shouldn't be any more ponding or puddling up there. A lot of the structural issues were fixed on the building. And the interior framing is complete, and they're working on HVAC and electrical rough-ins. Nothing of consequence happened at the fairgrounds this weekend. I'll call today to ensure we're still on time for the delivery of the bleachers. I did miss the rodeo meeting. So Thursday I had to leave a little bit earlier. I meant to bring it with me. I've got a leave slip for a couple hours on Thursday afternoon because I did leave early for something personal back home, but not a lot happened at the rodeo meeting. They provided us with ideas for a whole bunch of projects. I want to get with Jim and go over it before I present it. Actually, Jim should present it to the board, not me.
Jim does, join us. As an exempt employee, if you worked 4 hours, you don't need to.
Yeah, but that's not the intent. I was here for 4 hours, but I was still, I don't know. I'll let the board make a call on that, but I was planning on putting in a slip because I didn't leave early, so, but we can talk about that in a few minutes. So anyway, I need to go over the project list with Jim. It looked like kind of a rehash of all the things they always talk about. So, but Jim would be better to discuss that with the board. Chris and I last week did meet with the low responsible bidder on the fence project. We'd never met him. He was low, and a lot of the fence guys that called me said, hey, his cost, that's where we were before you specified ASTM, fence posts and the extra galvanizing and that kind of stuff. So they all thought that he missed it, and they thought that he didn't measure the fence, but he did. I called him and said, hey, do you want to do a walkthrough just to make sure you're comfortable? So we met him last week, and seems like a really sharp guy. Ellensburg Fence is the name of the company. And no, he did measure the fence. He had all the links correct. And we talked quite a bit about the specification, so it's a pretty stout fence that we're putting in. It's not, I would say that the chain link fence that is there now is more of a residential style. Right. The fence I'm putting in is not. So the fence folks recognize that. I did say that this was kind of phase one. Over the next few years, I would like to replace all of the fencing around the perimeter, but some of those projects are going to be really expensive. Fencing contractor said that there were areas of my specification that for a commercial fence, he thought I was overboard. And I said, you weren't the first person to say that. So I'd love to work with you on a good commercial. You look up specifications for a chain link fence. I could do a jail. A chain link fence is a whole nother animal. Really surprising how many different specifications there are out there and what they all mean. And you just totally get into the engineering of it. And it's like, wait a minute. So for the most part, he said the fence is going to be great. It's going to be a really sturdy fence. But there were some areas I went overboard, and he could help me with that if we do further, follow on projects to complete that. So working in that direction there. That work should begin in a couple of weeks, and we'll have all new fencing from the Blue Gate bathroom all the way around the perimeter of Southfield. And then the Musco lighting, all of the poles, everything is up. We're moving to a test and verify stage. And as of the 9th, Ricky will be able to go up and put up those final cameras, and all of the cameras will be put up at the fairgrounds. Most of the PA speakers are up and operating. The fence and 88 path are both moving through the contracting phase now, and you should see those on consent in another week or two. And all of the central services requested capital projects for the fairgrounds will be completed by fair. So the only outlier is the timing on the bleachers. But everything is moving.
We don't know when that's gonna be.
June 30th is what it's scheduled for, and I think some of that's dependent. They're doing a bleacher and announcer stand project in Yakima. I don't know if it's for school or what. So as long as that's not delayed, then yeah, June 30th was our date. So they're gonna finish up that project and then head to the Grant County Fairgrounds.
So it'll be completed June 30th.
Well, no,
Or
June
those
30th, that's when it's delivered, and
Okay.
then I think they're a week or a week and a half to install them. So, and then after that's done, we have to see what the layout looks like and see if there's anything additionally we need to do for an ADA walkway for access. There's an ADA ramp on the bleachers itself, but where the slab is, and once the bleachers are set, we may have to do something.
Put in a path or something.
Yeah, some kind of a path. So, and I've let both the concrete guy know and the paving contractor know that we may have some additional work for them to achieve that if we have to. So, so they're all good to do that. Kevin did visit the the WSU side of Wheeler building to check on the temperatures. As he walked, people stated that they were really comfortable and didn't want the temperature changed in the building. So we want folks to be comfortable in their space, and so if anybody does, say they want temperatures changed, or if it's not working right, if they can put in a work order, that would be great. But we are making sure that things are good there. We also continue to spend a considerable amount of time at the new veterans offices, making sure everybody's comfortable there. Kevin and I met with an Alpha Facilities representative. Alpha Facilities performed our facilities condition assessments a couple of years ago, and we discussed getting pricing for the 2026 budget year. We also discussed new capital forecasting software. They work with numerous vendors that does this, and they even have their own that they're going to show us. Our current forecasting model is no longer supported and can't be updated, so we need to be able to get that data out of there, and they can help us do that. And that's really important. I use that capital forecasting model so that, when we come to the budget discussions in September and we start asking you guys for hundreds of thousands of dollars for whatever equipment, roofs, painting, that's all based on forecasting models of the life cycles of all of that stuff in those buildings. So it's definitely not haphazard or shooting from the hip how we do it, but we have to have good software to do that with. The roundabout is out for bid. We have a traffic control plan. Man, this is going to be, we're going to hear about this, I'm sure, from the public, but we have a traffic control plan that has two options, and both are going to take serious consideration by the Board of County Commissioners. So the WSDOT is ultimately going to decide which plan we will adopt. The options that we do have are to try and close State Route 282 completely at the roundabout, and create a detour on Airport Road and then going through on Basin and getting back to the roundabout at Dodson. And the only access.
Wait, they're shooting everybody way over.
Well, that's the only way.
Okay.
All right. So there's only one way to get around. And then American Rock Products would be the only company that has access between the roundabout and Dodson, because that's where they're located.
Right.
If we do that, the impact is we complete the roundabout 3 weeks faster, or 3 to 4 weeks faster, than if we have to do it half of the highway at a time.
What's their completion time?
Well, right now we're planning on, if we can start right after the 4th of July, we're talking about beginning of September. So
July, August.
it's quite a timeline, but the problem now, the other impact on that though that's really important is, number one, everybody will, that's quite the detour. That taco stand is going to be inaccessible. So they're not going to be able to do business because there won't be any access to that taco stand. I don't know how we deal with that. At some point during the construction phase, they're going to end up being inaccessible to the public regardless, because even if we do it half at a time, we're going to have to put in that detour and make that inaccessible. So my thought is, as I've seen this happen in downtown Spokane, when businesses were 100% inaccessible, they contacted those businesses and said, you have to show us your books. You know, so what does that taco stand make in a month or in 2 months? And is it acceptable for us to pay that to that company, compensate them, since we don't have a choice but to close off access?
Yeah, no, I think we would need to.
I talked to Abel. Abel's more than happy to be my interpreter to talk to that business. But now the other thing we have to do is,
OneDrive should be a player with this too.
well, so they're going to decide which traffic control plan. So that's the first traffic. The second one is to close the highway one half at a time, do like the south half and then do the north half. There isn't enough room when you go to do the north half of the roundabout to do a detour on the south half. They're going to end up having to put that detour into place regardless. And it may only be for 2 or 3 weeks instead of, you know, a month and a half or 2 months. But regardless, we're going to have to end up doing that at some point. The other thing we have to do is the easement that went down south of the project and then went due south of the project and then turned to Dodson on Peachtree. We're going to have a 15-foot wide gravel road there. It'll be compacted very hard. It's just right where the utilities went. That's going to be alternative access because we have residents that live just south of the taco stand. Right. They're not going to have access to 282.
You got to be able to get the workers into the jail too.
Yep, workers have to get in, and the post office delivers to that residence. So we're going to have to make sure that the post office knows that they have a route that they can take. So that's going to be alternative access. Now, when we set up those easements, Kim Foster did give us permission to go ahead and do that. His only caveat was that once we were done with that temporary road, that we block it off with Jersey barriers because he doesn't want just, you know, so, and we said that's fine. So waiting to hear, the RAB is out to bid, but we're waiting to hear from the DOT on the traffic control plan. And I'll update the board as needed. And once the traffic control plan is approved, then I'll know what direction to go with the board and permission to get to talk to the taco stand or what have you. So figure that out. So that's what's happening there.
Yeah, they should be made aware of what's coming.
Yeah. Well, I tried to make them aware before the construction started. I said, you might want to hire somebody and get ready to make a lot more tacos. And I know they've been busy because there's the general, you know, Leidig has pulled the guys on the job, and a lot of them are going out of that taco stand to get lunch, you know, and they're putting in their orders ahead of time. So that taco stand's doing really well with the gym construction. They've got to be enjoying this. So let's see, meetings for me this week. Today, after this, I'm in a compensation meeting. Tomorrow, Kevin and I are meeting with Eaton Electronics, who's supplying metering equipment for the jail. We were not made aware of this. It's part of the new energy code. We just happened to be in a meeting the other day, and they said, oh, by the way, you know, this meter's going in and it's tracking all of this data on all of your energy. And I was like, wait a minute, I already do that. What is this box? And they said, well, it's part of the new energy code. They didn't provide any means of us to extrapolate that data. And when I asked them, I said, how am I getting access to all that data? And everybody just kind of had question marks popping out of their heads. So we're meeting with that company tomorrow to find out how we do that. You know, the new state energy code is forcing me to put this thing in there. And I think it's kind of new to everybody. Nobody thought about the data that this thing was collecting and where it was going to go. There's no requirement under the new energy code to report that data anywhere. There's just a requirement to capture it. So it's kind of weird. Wednesday's a full day of jail meetings, and then Thursday we have the kickoff meeting with the ED. Doggone it.
It's about that.
The lead conference planning.
It's not the EDC.
Rhiann Berryman and
Brett Mayo.
Thank you, Brent Mayo. Yeah, for this year's lead conference. So is Rob online?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't know if Rob's going to that meeting or not, but last year that was really successful. I know everybody was excited to look forward to the next year and see what we could do with it. And it should be a good meeting. We kick off and discuss thoughts for this year. So, and I did get my projector. So
You got it?
Yep.
You ordered a new one or somebody returned
No.
it?
It was No, it was on us. We left it, we took it up for a training at work release and we forgot it there.
Okay.
So, yeah. But,
Mission solved. That
yeah,
is-
so not missing anything. Anyway, that is all I have, unless you wanted to go into executive session for our last 5 minutes and discuss that stuff on the morgue.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. So we can wrap it up. So we'll go into executive session from 8:55 to 9 o'clock with, what would it fall under?
We probably want to, we're trying to avoid any kind of litigation.
Okay, potential litigation.
Yeah.
Just a minute, I've got to make sure if we do litigation, we have to have an attorney here.
Good.
So, yeah, for litigation.
Well, but it's not,
Is it
we're trying to make sure we don't get there.
land acquisition, ongoing to contract? Real estate,
Real estate.
okay. Real estate acquisition, real estate sale.
Yeah,
Okay,
kind of. I can make that work.
which one? Sale or acquisition?
Acquisition.
Okay. So we will go into executive session for real estate acquisition, RCW 4231.10.1B. It's 8:56 till 9 o'clock. There you go.
Okay. Well, so Rob, if you want to call me later on or the.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll go from there.
Rob, will you be coming in today? I'm supposed to join the seller survey meeting here right now.
Yeah, that's fine. I can host on here too.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyway, any questions for central services?
No.
For anything?
Sure.
Actually, it took up the whole half hour this time. All right.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Right behind you.
Yeah, Tom.
Morning, sir.
Nice to meet you.
See you later.
I like it when people don't come in. Give me that door.
Well, Rob is gonna go ahead and host, welcome. I'm gonna jump into my other meeting, the salary survey. So I will be back hopefully shortly, but
Okay, good morning. It's 9:01 a.m. and we are here with Development Services for a weekly update. We have Fire Marshal Nathan Poplowski with us.
Good morning, commissioners. Jim is under the weather, as you probably saw when you checked your email, so he's not here today. So either fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, you get me. Some permit stuff. It's the first meeting in June, so building had 38 submitted last month for May, and they got 75 issued, so they got caught up on quite a few of the ones that were, running a little slower behind. So almost double the output of what came in last month. Of those, 10 were either accessories or single-family residences. Some commercial additions came in, had a demolition, some manufactured homes, 8 of those, some mechanical permits, 8 of those, some plumbing permits, 1 plumbing permit, and then some new residences, 7 of those. So things are happening. Things are going on the fire marshal side. We had 10 permits submitted and we issued 12, so we caught up on a couple too, probably operational or the transient residence ones as they're being approved through the hearings examiner now. Those are starting to come through, and then a bunch of the planning ones got approved through the planning department on the MPR zone ones. And they had 52 submitted on their side as well. So fairly busy across the street in that building. Also, speaking of fairly busy, I'm running on about 1 hour sleep for the last 2 days. Had a fatal fire last night over in the Quincy area, and then the first really nice, good, warmish kind of weekend of the year, and the burn ban kicking off on Sunday, and everybody decided to have fires and forget about it. So the county was burning pretty good. So hats off to the fire districts and all of their folks, because they got a handle on all of them fairly quickly, and were able to get those taken care of. But yeah, very, very busy weekend.
Yeah,
I don't have a number, but there were a lot.
I was listening to the scanner for a little bit Saturday night. It was crazy.
Yeah. Investigations open on the one last night, the fatal fire still undetermined at this point. Probably will stay that way due to the amount of damage, likely related to electrical.
Residents?
Yeah. Single male occupant didn't get out. So unfortunate.
Yeah.
Don't know if there were smoke detectors in there or not. The whole thing was pretty burnt away. Had our fire chiefs and commissioners meeting a couple weeks ago. There's a fair bit going on there. Some consternation with MAC about 365 labs and not dispatching and not working and not putting the right units on calls and things, despite being operational since the start of the year. There's still a bunch of issues apparently with that. I had one last night. I wasn't notified until the fire district directly called me for the fatal fire last night. And it didn't update iSpy or give a fire marshal incident in the iSpy system. So there's still some issues they're working through with that. So the fire chiefs are frustrated. So I have to write a letter to the MAC board. So that'll be coming as I'm the president of that group. That'll be coming soon. The Gorge this year kicked off one concert on, was it Memorial Day weekend? Low turnout, low stuff, not a lot going on there. But this year we're doing pyro a little bit different. After consultations with the fire district, we're limiting the rooftop pyro, which caused some problems last year. A couple of small fires out there. So from the risk management standpoint, the fire chief at District 3 and I kind of decided that it would be good to limit what goes off of that roof. Their stage pyro generally stays on the stage, so we're not worried about that. But instead of mortars and comets and all the flying stuff off the roof, we've limited it to basically flame effects and like the sparkling gerbs, they call them, the streams. So there's a little bit of pushback from them on that, but it is what it is. As we saw this weekend, it's kind of dry and it's only going to get drier the longer we go. So we're just going to mitigate that as much as we can ahead of time this year. Next week, I am in Arizona recertifying for my investigator certificate, getting all of those boxes checked. Yeah, it's going to be a short meeting because that's what I've got for development services on June 2nd. Any questions for me?
What started that fire on the Quincy Lakes area?
I'm not sure. I heard roundabout way that it might have been a controlled burn that got out of control, but I haven't been able to confirm that. I just don't know. Any other questions? Rob, anything for me?
No, nothing for me. Anything else, Kevin?
No, I'm good. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, then we will go into recess until 9:30.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Good morning, it's 9:30 a.m. and we are here for Commissioner's Office update with Barb and Caitlin.
Good morning, Commissioners. First out the gate is your pending decision spreadsheet that I printed for you for your upcoming meeting.
Thank you.
Second on the list is review of upcoming public hearings. I forgot my agenda. Do we have any?
Not any this
No
week.
hearings? Okay. And have you had a chance to look at your upcoming meetings for this week? And do you have any questions?
Didn't see a whole lot.
I know that Commissioner Carter is gone tomorrow, so it'll be you two running the meeting, so.
Sounds good.
May I see your agenda for just a second?
Yes.
Well, I'm just taking a look at this. Draft travel planner publisher RFP review. Do you want to do that?
Yes. Barb sent that to you guys on Friday. Did you have a chance to look at it over the weekend?
Actually, I think I looked at it before.
I think, yes, probably. I have not made any changes as of right now. For the chair and the vice chair of tourism, Sean is not making any comments because she wants to submit a proposal, and I did not receive any comments from Pam. But if the commissioners feel comfortable with it, I'll continue with the process and take it to tourism this week for their review for any comments from them.
I didn't have any issues with it.
And then did you guys want legal to review this before it gets posted? I cannot seem to remember if legal has to review them or if it's just like as the commissioners direct. It does state in there that submitting a proposal does not commit you to a contract. It's got the same verbiage that we used for like the strategic consultant for the homeless housing plan when it comes to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would review it until a contract myself.
Kevin, do you feel fine with that?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
So then if the board feels okay with it and the committee feels okay with it, I think the goal was to try to post it this Friday so that way we could get proposals back within the next month. Oh, I need to get on the computer.
Okay. You mind if we push that?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna jump down to my Board of Equalization update. Just wanted to give you a quick update of where we're at. Total received petitions were 216. To date, we have had 17 withdrawals. We have had 27 agreements. The hearings begin next week and they go all the way through October 2nd. They are every Thursday. They're only held on Thursdays. So we have, there are weeks that we do not have hearings because of people's schedules. There are times when I won't be here and Caitlin will be my backup for the dates that I will not be here. Caitlin and I attended the May 14th new clerk training. It was very informative. This week, tomorrow and Wednesday is the new member training. So DOR has suggested that one of us attend. So I'll be attending the new clerk training tomorrow and Wednesday, along with the new alternates, Jerry and Rosa. So us three will be up in the Wanapum room upstairs for full days, 8:30 to 4:30 on tomorrow and Wednesday. And then the senior member training is Thursday, and that is being held in this meeting room. So this room will be blocked off for half of the day. I believe it's on the calendar. So you'll know that they will be in here. Do you have any BOE questions?
No.
It's been an interesting learn.
Except you're having fun.
Yeah. Yes, it has been definitely interesting. Are you ready to proceed? Okay. Caitlin's going to talk to you about the BOCC YouTube analytics that you had asked for last week or a couple weeks.
So I wasn't really sure what kind of information you guys were looking for, so I'm just sharing the screen with the channel analytics. Views, which is total views for the selected date range. Currently, I have it on the lifetime of the channel, so it's October 14th of 2024 through yesterday. You have 1.8 thousand views. It's like they rounded up. It's 1,781 views so far. Watch time, it's the estimated total hours of viewing time of your content from your audience. So watch time in hours is 611.5 hours. We've gained 48 subscribers since starting the channel. The average view duration for the videos for the lifetime is not like super high. I think we've got a few that watch for an hour. Quite a few tend to be in that like 10 to 20 minute range. My guess is that people log in and watch a specific meeting or two and then click out. But there's a lot more information that you could find. So when it comes to like content, how people find the page, it's the traffic source. So pages, which is, I believe that's other YouTube channels that point you in this direction. So, you know, you get like the you watch a video and at the end, it's like, here's all the suggested stuff for you. Leave some of that. Well, now it won't let me go back. You can also look at like the last 28 days, so last month here, 272 views, 212.9 hours, 2 new subscribers. Trying not to pull up some of the data since we're sharing like the viewer age and gender, but if you wanted to look at that, that's something you could look at also.
What's the spike?
This right here, it's usually when a new video is posted.
How many views is that?
The newest one,
I was just curious what the spike amount of views is. If it was like 20.
this one was 20, this one, it was 20. There's probably people that get notifications and then want to see it. So impressions, how many times your video thumbnails were shown to viewers. So this includes impressions on YouTube, not on external sites or apps. As far as I'm aware, we don't pay to have the YouTube channel like show up on other apps. To get 9,000. I don't know if that's a good number of impressions or not, but that's the number. Obviously, we don't have any revenue because this is not an income source. But is there anything specific that you guys were looking for?
No, I was just curious how much activity we're getting.
Some. There's definitely like the regulars that'll come through and watch the videos. You can just see like the one I posted last week of last Tuesdays. You have 20 views already. I'm sure it's like 46, 16, 18. Again, these people are not watching the entire video. They're just going in for something specific. But probably about the same people that watch them every time would be my guess. And some of those views come from Barb and I when we rewatch them to make sure the minutes are accurate.
Oops. So 18 instead of 20, yeah. Do you guys have any further questions for Caitlin?
I
YouTube.
appreciate you doing that.
Sure. Anytime.
Great job, Caitlin. I'm gonna just throw ourselves real quick to the special events permits. So last week, the board had on the agenda from Public Works, from Cat Bren, request an approval to adopt a new special event application permit and process. After that was adopted, Caitlin gave me a copy, and I didn't read this before it was on the agenda. And after speaking with Kat, she stated that it was her thought and her intention that the commissioner's office is going to be the ones issuing these permits.
The permit is confused me, which we talked about.
Yeah.
But we didn't really have a plan of doing a permit.
And she had mentioned that you guys had talked about this a couple years ago.
Yeah, like 3 years ago, it was a big deal that the county didn't have the permit
Right.
to like Darrell.
Right.
Because if you don't have the permit, how do you get their taxes?
The admissions taxes and all that, yeah.
But it was never, I don't know.
I think the ball got dropped.
Yeah,
and
a
then,
long time ago, and I don't know if it was
Yes.
ever that important to anyone or not.
right. I think it was, but Catherine decided to grab the ball again.
Yeah, I thought that I must have missed something, or I didn't remember something, and that Kevin and Cindy had gone over that.
Right.
Because when I saw it on consent, I was like, oh, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be something that we would put on our website, right, where they could go on there and fill it out.
I honestly don't
Have a plan
know.
for that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could do both of those things.
Yeah. And because it involves like 4 other departments and offices that didn't know this was happening either. So after speaking with Catherine, I think it's the cart before the horse, who's going to do what and what does it look like. I think they're talking about having it go through their, I keep wanting to think GovQA, but that's our public records. They have their government permit software. So it's approved, but I don't believe it will be utilized until everyone knows who's doing what. So
Further discussion.
it will. So the board approved something, but I don't know that this will actually be the final part. So, but I didn't know if it was your intent that staff in our office issue permits, get insurance certificates, statement signed by the applicant and property owner allowing permission to enter the event for inspections. So Catherine's understanding was that staff was going to do that. And I was like, I've never issued a permit, and not saying that we can't, but there's just a lot. So the board approved this and it'll be a continued discussion. I just wanted to give you a heads up.
So give me an example of a special event that somebody would need a permit for.
Like, I want to say the rodeo out in Quincy, that they were inviting hundreds of people to attend this rodeo event, loud music, charging
Mexican
admissions.
rodeo.
Yeah. So apparently there's an entire process. Can they use their property for that use? If they're taking money and they have to give the county admissions tax. So there's a lot that entails, I guess.
A lot more to it than just a little permit.
Correct. Yeah. Fire marshal has to be involved
Right.
and, yeah. So the board approved it, but we just have to figure out who's gonna do what and what that looks like. So just giving you a heads up on that. Okay, Ms. Caitlin, LTAC swag.
I'm so sorry, I'm actually gonna skip this real quick.
Okay.
I received an email from the chair of tourism that she is requesting, or she is interested in having a mid-year review for Rochelle. She's asking if there's a standard procedure from the county for reviews of contractors. She would like to make this happen as soon as possible. I spoke with Blair about this a little bit because I knew that he had read through all of the policies, and as of right now, no, there's nothing about reviewing people that the county has contracted with unless there is something wrong. Like if the county feels that maybe they're not performing the scope of work that's detailed in their contract, that sort of thing. So what I'm asking the commissioners is if you would like to decide now whether or not to have this review for Rochelle, or if you would like to send this to the committee to vote at their meeting on Wednesday. I did get Blair's opinion on it, and he had voiced some concerns, saying that if they voted on this and decided to have a review with Rochelle, that they would need to vote on or have a review with every other contractor, or they could potentially open up a door for future lawsuits if Rochelle feels that she was, given a review when it wasn't necessary, and then the committee decided not to
I don't think it's
review it.
necessary unless it's in her contract that we do that.
As far as I'm aware, it is not in her contract. But I can double check if you'd like.
My opinion.
Yeah, I'm good. How he said that. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. So,
So the
So no.
direction is to.
Unless it's in
Not-
the contract.
unless it's
Okay.
in the contract.
Okay.
Okay, do you have any questions or anything for Caitlin and I before we turn it over to Carrie?
Yeah, on our postcards for Beckwith.
Yes, I would love to discuss that a little bit more with you.
So we got print them and then print the QR code.
I don't know. I'm a little confused. I was hoping to catch you sometime today. We can talk about it now though if you want. From what I gather, he's saying PDFs of the survey, which is confusing to me.
Well, he
If
has
we're-
the little postcards.
That says for visitors though, right? Not
Yeah,
residents?
those are just visitor.
Yes. And so then when I reached,
We just like lay those out at hotels, is his theory.
I guess he had said to use like LTAC and tourism and the chambers of commerce, but then had in a separate email had said hotels, motels, camping sites. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about
Anywhere
how,
people stay is where we would want them,
yes,
or stop in.
Who's gonna deliver them?
Us.
apparently us. And I had reached out,
It's not
Who's us?
me.
You and me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Stick them, how come you can't put them in the mail and mail them to people?
Well, not only that, do we have,
I mean, especially
we have
ones that are,
hotels that say that we can bring them to them?
No, we'd have to go to the desk and ask if we could leave them there.
I thought that's what we were paying him for.
So did I, but here we are, so.
and then the resident survey, I'm sure you saw his response about that he was talking about posting the PDF of the survey on the site, but I don't understand how people are supposed to fill out that survey if you're just posting a PDF of it. And I could not remember, I have not really looked into it because it was on Friday, but do you remember seeing a postcard for a resident survey, like with a link and a QR code?
No.
I feel like maybe there was a link to the resident survey at one point, but I would need to comb through those emails and I just have not had time yet to do that.
It's like the PDF for the resident survey. But the visitor. It's just visitor, they don't have the resident QR code one.
But
Unless
then
it's just that individual one. Like he sent one of just the QR code. But yeah, when we hired it, I thought that the consultant was doing all of this. I didn't know that, we were gonna do it all.
Well, and according to his contract, he should be doing it all.
Well, then we just need to respond like, hey man, this is part of your contract, you need to mail these out. But then will he mail them out? Maybe not. Then you don't get what you're trying to get done anyways, so.
But if it's part of his contract, then he needs to be made aware that that's part of his contract, that he was awarded. So if he's getting paid for something to do something and we're doing it for him, then is he gonna give us a break on his contract? Because that isn't in his contract. Abide by the contract and deliver him. Copy of his contract.
Sir? Yeah. And Rob, did you want to reply to him?
Well, I remember replying about this to him, talking to him about, hey, you need to be mailing these. Or, and even some of the meeting things of the times and stuff when I talked to him. So it's just odd that it's always, you talk about it and then it's like, well, here they are for you guys to distribute. Okay. But at the same time, myself, I look at it like it's probably quicker if we print them and I, pass them around. The resident one, we just need, ideally, it'd be nice if it popped up as an option on our website.
I can put it as like a news flash. I can't make it be like a in-your-face pop-up,
Yeah.
but I can put it as a news flash. I just need to, I'll comb through the emails and find the link for it.
bless you.
I was gonna add the link to like my social media and stuff. See if that gets any going and try to pass it along, maybe get the chambers to put it in their weekly emails. Should we be doing it? I don't know.
No, I say shouldn't.
Like, I would have thought he was doing those things,
I
but
agree.
like when we, even for getting people involved, that fell onto us. Reaching out to people, that was us. Everything is in us, so.
Which reminds me, I mean, this can be like a down the line conversation for inviting people to those tourism workshops. And he had said that he would schedule the Zoom for them. Do you remember, do you know, is he inviting people to those tourism
I'm sure
workshops
he's not
or?
inviting people, because he didn't invite them last time, so.
Do you feel like you got the answers you needed for that?
About that.
It seems like we need to have like a
now.
one-on-one conversation with the person and pointedly ask the questions. Okay, well, we're
When did-
taking half of Carrie's time.
When did you do that,
Carrie doesn't
when was
have
that contract done?
December. I have it on file on my desktop. I can just send it to you guys in a little folder. But I'm pretty sure it was December. It was when everybody was doing the contracts for their LTAC grants.
Morning, Gary.
Good morning. Are we ready to swap subjects here?
Yeah, you're good. We're
Okay.
good. We only had, like,
I just
5
wasn't sure if you were still working on the girls and stuff. Not much, but the unobligated ARPA funding that we have to return back to the state treasury. Back in March, they had actually sent the notification to Cindy and Janice's email, and I never received it. So last week when Cindy got a phone call from a gal out of DC, she called me and I returned the call to, her name was Cherie. And what had happened was, she says there was a glitch in their system and the inactive point of contacts were receiving these emails. And that's why I did not receive one, because I'm the active one. So the only 3 ways to refund the money back to them was debit, ACH, credit, ACH, or PayPal. And the county doesn't have a debit card, and we don't use PayPal. And the credit, ACH, the treasurer's office said that we cannot pay that way. So the only way to pay the funding back is by check, which I've started that process. The state treasury's office sent me the address as to where to send it. As soon as I get the check, I'm going to actually send it electronic certified so I can track it myself. And that was $1,000, so not bad. So I'll get that going. SIP unobligated funding amount, we're only at 84,000. With the amount that comes in each month, we actually expend that much, if not more, paying out to agencies that we have already awarded the funding for. So we're not really getting that up there much. So I don't know if we're even gonna have the funding for the July recommendations that EDC is to send us.
So what do we do when that happens?
I'm assuming not approve the recommendations, or, I don't know. I have not had this happen since I've done this. The last recommendations, which was January, February, or what are we? We're in June. I think it was March. Cindy said to get a hold of Brant at EDC and notify him, let him know that the last group wouldn't be approved because of the funding. And he was okay with that. But come July, I don't know that the funding will be built back up in order to award any new funding.
But I think we talked about putting them on hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put them on hold. He said that Brant has applications coming in and they'll do the recommendation in July. That would be the next one, because I think he's hoping that within a couple months we'd have the funding built back up. But with the amount of money that has already been obligated to these agencies, and we're reimbursing them each month, we're not getting anywhere. We're basically at a standstill. So I think in April, we received $116,000, but we expended $75,000. So we're not getting anywhere as far as getting it built back up. So we'll probably have to put those in July on hold as well. The tourism photography agreement is with legal. I haven't heard back from Rebecca yet, or not Rebecca, but Barbara. So we'll see what happens with that.
They gave us an update last week. I don't remember if it was executive or not though.
I know she was gonna send it out WAPO, or something, and get in touch with some other prosecutors and see how they've handled cases like this. So.
I have talked to Ricky about this.
Yeah, this one's not Ricky.
This one's not?
No.
Who's this one?
This one is the photographer that Rochelle has and the tourism advisory have approved to do all of the photography for tourism. His name it's Jeff's Camera.
Yeah, out of rank.
Yeah. And so when I sent him the agreement between the county and him, he was not okay with the wording for the
For the use of the photos after.
yes, the use of the photos, as far as him not being able to do basically what he wants with it.
Oh, like, because they're probably taking for us.
Uh-huh.
And then he thinks he should be able to.
To do, yeah. And Barbara said that doesn't quite fly, but she was gonna check into it. And he had forwarded me the standard agreement as far as the ownership part. And I had forwarded that to Barbara as well. And basically he takes the pictures and keeps them and can use them for whatever purpose. So.
According to his contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and right now the tourism has an $18,000 grant that they have put towards photography only. So I do not believe he's taken any pictures or anything for the county. I advised him not to until the agreement has been looked over by legal and signed by everybody. Rochelle wanted to send him out to Springfest because that would have been a good opportunity. But there was issues with the agreement, so I advised that he not take any pictures for us.
Well, Springfest had their own photographer. Maybe we could work with them at that point.
Yeah. Other than that, that is all I have for updates.
What would be our path forward? Find a different photographer?
That, and if they can't, then we just have to,
What was that contract amount? I don't remember. Did we RFP it or did we just, she just
No.
selected it?
the one that I have is the pass-through one through the Washington State Tourism, which is funded by Commerce. And they were awarded $18,000 for photography, specifically for the website and all of that stuff. So if they don't find anybody, and I believe they have to have the money, they have till November to use up that grant. And if they do not, then we just give the money back to.
A couple of years ago, we had a ton of people that were trying to do that for tourism. I remember that guy that came in and showed like the drone footage and the videos, and it was nice, nicer than anything I've seen
So far.
from tourism so far.
Yeah. So hopefully sometime this week I'll hear something from Barbara and go from there on that agreement and see what happens. But any questions for me?
We just need
Alright.
to figure that one out.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anybody want to roll me to my office?
Are you-
Have to walk?
Did you hurt yourself?
I've been hurt for a while.
Heads up, auditors are gonna be here in 2.5 weeks. So they'll probably have a week of planning, but then they'll probably wanna see you for grants.
Oh, well, thanks for the heads up.
Hey, that's like almost a month heads up.
2 weeks.
No, but they'll have a week of planning, and then so right at the end of this month, they'll start testing.
All righty. Thank you.
Good morning, it's 10:05 a.m. and we are here for an accounting update with Mandy Kim.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hope we had a good weekend. Silence is the yes. I don't have much. Last week was spent getting the annual report done by the deadline, which was on Friday, and got it submitted by the hair on my chinny chin chin at 5:30 p.m. But we got it to them, so we're in compliance with our end of year deadline. The auditors plan to be on site. They'll do some remote work first, starting around the third week of June. Then probably come on site the week after that. This will be the financial and federal audit, so it's a little bit shorter. They plan to do the accountability audit in the fall after they get done with their financial audits. So they'll be back to do the 2-year audit later this year. This week is Tyler, Tuesday through Friday. Tuesday through Thursday is the financial side, and Friday is a payroll side that I'll probably join in on to help them get their crosswalk done. I don't know, they're doing a parallel soon. I don't think it's this week, but they do need that GL crosswalk to do their parallel, so hopefully I'll have time to get that done for them. As far as the financial side, we got 23 validated, 24 validated. We just need to start inputting 2025, and we'll do that month by month with January until we go live. Then we have our accounts payable trainings set up to start. Our first one will be June 11th, I believe, with, I have 2 scheduled, one for with Grizz and one with, who's the other department? I think Vanessa with TS, because she does a lot of payable entries. So I have those two scheduled. The plan is to make a training from those, record it, and then utilize that and give those to other departments. Of course, if they have questions, I'll be available to help them, but only as an absolute need, but we do any further one-on-one for that. And then grants, we can, now that we've got the annual report going, we'll start to work on getting the rest of the grants inputted into Tyler, which Erin is doing most of that. And mental health is going to be working on their grants themselves, which is a huge help to us. And they have a lot of grants, so it's great that they're going to be able to do that. I think that's the biggies. I don't have anything. We have to, I still have to get the consent agenda for the 105 fund to get that cleaned up and made a department. I can't think of anything else at the moment, unless there's anything you guys have. I guess Michelle's not coming. I messaged her to see if she had an update, and she didn't respond, so I'm assuming she's got nothing for you guys.
How's Tyler going?
It was hopefully good. It was I last week I took a total break from everything and it was all annual report, only helping with absolute fire needs. So I didn't do much with Tyler. This week is going to be all Tyler. So hopefully we'll get to where we need to be going live. I think we have a call it or the 5th is where we're going to be like, are we going to make the 1st? That's going to be our cutoff date to decide. But I think we should be fine. Like I said, the biggies is the AP and the grants. And we already have scheduled to get people trained on doing accounts payables and working on the grants. So I don't foresee anything that should hold us up from going live. We have our data converted in there. We just have to put 2025 in, but it shouldn't be difficult. I can't speak entirely for the payroll side, but they're not going live until next year, so that's nice.
Anything for us?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to brief recess until 10:15. We're back with youth services. Good morning, it's 10:15 a.m. and we are here for a youth services update.
That's it?
I was trying to remember how to say her name right.
It's not how.
It's not how any of us say
It's
it.
in Swahili.
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 There you go.
Yes.
Swahili.
I
Good
practiced on
morning.
Friday when we met at youth services and I was like for what, like 7 minutes?
Can we say it one more time?
Swahili.
Wow.
There you go.
Because she introduced herself and I was
I
like,
knew, like-
are we on, have I really been saying her name wrong for 4 years?
It's just
And
not
she was
how-
like, everyone does. Some people call me sushi.
I know, so it wasn't a big deal for me, so you're good. But thank you for trying.
I mean, I was just thinking like, which one is it?
Swahili, yes.
Swahili.
Yes, thank
It's
you.
the eel.
Good morning. I wanted to provide you guys and give you an update as to what was the outcome for all the 12 kids that were arrested during our spring break. Yes, the spring festival. So we got actually 3 kids that were on Thursday night. Out of the 3 kids, 1 was sent to diversion and the other 2 were charged, but they didn't have no bail, so they were released on Friday. So those were 3 kids. And then out of the other 9 kids, 3 of them were sent to diversion. 1, they decided to do no action, and 5 of them, they did charge them, but they didn't have no bail. So the 9 of them were released on Tuesday, because they did spend, the whole weekend there until they went to court on Tuesday, and then on Tuesday they were released. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. We did have a vehicle, 637, that got damaged due to a rock, so they had to change the whole windshield. And that was provided by Public Works, so they did that to our vehicle. And then I do have one item for consent agenda. It's my WCYF block grant. And it's just basically a regular contract that I have, and this year is gonna be for 2 years. And Rebecca was able to actually review it. So it's good for you guys to go hopefully for tomorrow. And just as a reminder, I don't know if you guys remember, we did have a malfunction on the Sally Port and resulted into damage into one of the Chelan County vehicles. So we are gonna be paying $2,177.96 to Washington County Risk Group. They're gonna be sending the check to Chelan, and we will be paying that. I guess I asked, what was our deductible, and he said 10 grand. So that's why we're paying the full amount. And that's it. I don't have any other, I don't know if, Rob, you wanna talk about when you went and visit the Moses Lake office? Why'd you
Looking
say?
for my email to Kevin. Okay, so when I went and looked, the spaces were working out pretty good. Lights looked better, stuff was good, but there are a few things that youth services still wanted us to look at. The first thing was that the signage on the building has WSU Extension Youth Services, but it looks like WSU Youth Services.
It's all one, like it's not separated, so it looks like
Well,
it's
it's
only
on
one.
top of each other, but it does look like it's WSU's Youth Services.
Okay. So you
So
need 2 signs or,
2 signs would
Separated.
probably make
Yeah.
sense.
okay,
They're still waiting on a little window into the office from the small office room, which she said Kevin was in communication on. It was super hot in the offices, which I think Tom said in his update that they walked through and everyone was happy with the temperature. I don't know if that actually happened because I was there on Friday at like noon. But the hallways felt good, the offices were hot.
were they occupied when you went in, or?
No.
Some of them were, and like we even went to our room that they used to do classes. And I know that even some of the staff that when they were actually putting everything in, they were sweating like a lot. Like, so we just thought that, the temperature might be something that we
Do they
might
have
adjust.
systems like we have, so they can just adjust
No,
it?
they don't have the remote
Okay,
system.
because Tom said they went in and asked, and everybody said they were fine. That was part of his update.
And after, you guys
Temperature's in a good
mentioning
spot.
that, I do remember even before we were moving in, they did let us know, especially their big conference room, they told us like, it gets really hot here.
Okay.
So please don't close the doors because then it's gonna be extremely hot. So they were already telling us before we even moved there that some of the offices get really hot.
What if we do, like a little portable AC
They
unit or
could probably
something?
do a little portable AC unit in there or something, maybe.
Yeah. Or
Well,
I
the
think she
offices
has
are all
a
knocked around
fan.
each other.
Yeah.
Like the conference room is in another part of the building. The big conference room is in the same building area as all those offices. But the rooms are hot. Like, there's no question. You just walk in the room, you know it's hot.
Yeah.
So I was confused when he said that in his update, and there wasn't a break in his update to where I could ask him like, hey, when did you go and do that? Because I called you
yeah.
Friday at 12:30.
Yeah.
So
Is all that in the ceiling? Could they add some vents or?
I'm not sure. The vents are in the ceiling though.
Yeah.
But it was hot in there.
And I know that at least in, the group rooms where they meet with the kids, they do have a fan going on, but, like I say, it's only gonna get hotter, so I'm assuming that it's gonna be even hotter later in June, July, so.
Yeah, we need to find out if there's separate air conditioning units, maybe one of them's not working right.
But everything was really good. I mean, they're really happy and things are working out, I think, so. It was just some little details that we needed to have you guys look, or at least the signage and very much. So, other than that, I don't really have anything else for you guys. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, I was right. The kids from Spring Fest have all, was it 12 kids been
12
released?
kids.
Or,
Yeah, they were released, like I say, the ones that we got on Thursday were released the next day on Friday. And then the ones for the weekend, they got released on Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah.
And your vehicles that had rock damage?
They already changed the windshield wiper. It was all done by, they coordinated. I don't know who did the replacement, but I know that they set up an appointment for us and they were able to replace the windshield wiper, the windshield. Yeah. And that's it for me.
All right, any other questions for SWAT eel? SWAT eel?
I always thought it was
Eel.
hill.
Eel.
Swat eel.
Swahili.
Swahili.
There you go, Swahili.
Look at this.
Yeah, thank you.
We're getting it.
Just took 10
You
minutes.
guys are getting it.
I just know you can't say it how you look at it.
I know.
Two hands.
Yes, yes, correct.
All right, we will go into recess until 10:30 when we are back for a renew update. Good morning, it's 10:30 a.m. and we are here for a renew update with Dell Anderson. We're just trying to get him in here. You're in now, Dell.
Morning, Dell.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
Great.
Good. I just have a couple of agenda items this morning. On the first update I have for you is our capital projects. I just wanted to give you an update where we're at on the Grand Coulee project and also the Moses Lake site renovation refresh. First was the Grand Coulee kitchen area. That's at that location, we have a kitchen that opens up into kind of a great room or group room that we utilize as well. One for a break area with staff, and then the other is potentially if they have a group for clients that they are serving, that's where they meet as well. We had a bid come back and the project was over the amount that we had budgeted, but this is not a project that I want to go over budget at all. We had budgeted for $15,000 for this small renovation in this kitchen. And so I reviewed what materials we were looking at, and it's because of the type of materials that were being requested that made this project a little more expensive than what the budget was. And so we're gonna rescope it with some different product for the kitchen area and then go back out to bid so it will fall under within what our budgeted line item was. So I just wanted to give you an update where that was and why we're changing the scope on that so that we'll have a bid that falls within the budget. The other one was just an update on the Moses Lake site. This includes a renovation of the waiting area in our lobby and then new flooring and new paint throughout the facility here at Moses Lake. For the bids in this process, we joined the county-wide RFQ that went out. And so an organization has been selected for the Renew project. And I just don't know yet if they've been notified of that. And so I'm going to wait to share the name. But I was grateful to be a part of that process. And we're looking forward to moving forward on this project as they start to line up for the county-wide capital projects for these renovation pieces. But something we're excited about. It'll give us more room in the waiting area here. And this building was built in the early 2000s, so it's time to refresh and have some updates here. So any questions on that so far in capital projects?
No, you did have a customer that sent me a picture once in there and said it needed some desperate updates, which of course, I'm like, yes, paid for by your tax, but okay. But yeah, the public agrees.
Yes, it's time. So I appreciate that. And they definitely are, those receiving services definitely deserve to have a nice place to be served. So I appreciate that as well. Moving on to the opioid abatement funds that Grant County receives. We a little over 6 weeks ago went out to bid with an RFP for the county, and we've had a few applications or proposals come through. Those proposals were scored and they were due back to Carillon on Friday. And then tomorrow on the 3rd, we will review the scores of each of the proposals that came in and select the group or the different projects that we're going to allow under the opioid abatement funds. And so I just wanted to provide you an update that we are moving forward, that proposals have been scored, and we'll be identifying those that Grant County and the city of Moses Lake would like to award for the projects to utilize the funds in. An interesting question we have is that as a panel, we'll be reviewing the scoring, but we're also running up against an issue with the new FY26 funding going to be available in July, if we should go ahead and make those funds available. That's going to be another discussion because I think if we do decide to do that, we'll have to go back out and do either a public notice or another RFP letting organizations in the area know that we increased the budget that's available for funds. So just wanted to give you an update where that was in process, but we're at least at the point of we're starting to score the proposals and review them. And they look good. The proposals align with what we can do with the opioid funds as far as prevention, outreach type of programming. And so I think there are some programs that will be very helpful to our residents of our county. And so I look forward to being able to announce once we select the different programs. So there's some movement there. So that's great to see.
Adele,
Yes.
I didn't realize that I had the only invoice that I think it was Carolyn sent for the abatement charge. So it was sitting in my email. I believe that is paid, and Caitlin and Barb now will be also getting a copy of that.
Great. Yeah. Just remember that that's that invoice came to Grant County because of the agreement that Chelan County is the fiscal agent. And so we would send the Grant County would send Chelan County a response with a check to that invoice. Then Chelan County will then write one check for all 4 counties that goes to Carillon. It's just the way that they wanted to have the funds available to Carillon and only do one check instead of 4 different contracts trying to work those things out.
So I think it's taken care of.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
No problem at all. I don't think that they waited very long. I think it just came out last week.
No, they sent it like a month ago prior.
Oh, okay. Time's flying then. The last thing I have for you this morning is just an update on consented agenda items. We have, I believe, just one that's coming through for consent agenda. This is an update to what's called our CBRA contract. That's CBRA. These are funds that come from Carillon Behavioral Health as well. And these are funds for housing for individuals that are coming from a psychiatric inpatient hospital back to the community that don't have housing. And so this allows us to pay for rental assistance and to help people secure housing and maintain that over the course of the year. So this contract did go through our legal team review, and is ready for commissioner signature. So I just wanted to give you an update on what you're going to what you'll see coming across for consent. But I believe that's the only one that we had for this week that's coming on. And that's what I have for you this morning.
Any questions for Dell?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Dell.
Thanks, Del.
Yeah, you guys get about 5 minutes back to the morning. Good luck.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll see ya.
Brief recess until 10:45 when we are back for a fairgrounds update.
Jim.
Good
Morning.
morning. It's 10:46 a.m. and we are here with Jim McKiernan for a fairgrounds update.
Howdy, howdy. For some reason, I'm looking at the other direction and don't see anybody in the audience. So this is such a compelling discussion this morning.
We
I'm
have
sure.
both views.
Yeah. Plus, you have to look at me. Let's see. As far as staffing goes, we're finally up to snuff. We've got 3 outside people right now and have one more starting probably Wednesday. We also have made an offer to 1 more inside person, so that'll bring us to 2 inside staff people. We're about a month behind on the outside crew, but the crew we got is great. We've got, let's see, Colby Carvo, Brody Holland, a gal named Johanna Thorman, and we're bringing back Logan Callahan. And then for the office, we've got Molly Sackman coming in, and all of these kids are either college kids or that age group anyway. So it's a good crew. They're hardworking young adults. We had a meeting with the rodeo crew on Thursday last week. Chris Turner and I spent about 2 hours talking to them. We've been pushing them to do a 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan. So we went over projects that they would like to see happen. And basically they're all ones we can agree to as far as the operation of the facility, realizing they're only here for 1 week a year. They're not anything that's going to impact our ability to do business. It's more that I'm curious to see how they prioritize that list of projects, and then if they ask for any funding from the county to support those projects. And there's a couple of them there that would make sense for us for other events as well. And so, and then there's some safety things we probably should consider over the next few years. It was a good meeting. We're trying to be as accommodating as possible, but again, realizing that's 1 week a year, and we still need to make sure the facility is usable for our other events. Parking and camping hit the streets last Friday, and I think was sold out within 15 minutes again. And interestingly enough, camping sold out, which normally we have a few spots left in North, but this year we don't have anything left. We had a couple issues with people trying to book multiple parking spots, which we restrict that to 1 person per spot, that you can't book multiple spots. And so it didn't, and people know that the rules are pretty clearly posted. So, and usually it's repeat offenders if we do get those people trying. And then we go back and basically ixnay some of those spots for them and resell them. Let's see, Dirt Symposium this year is in 2026 in January is in Nashville. So I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do that this year. But I will be turning in out of state travel. I don't know if I'll go. It would be my 3rd year to get my certification. We'll see if I'd rather see the staff go. Lori, Ken, and now Zach. Zach would be in the beginning class. Lori and Ken should be able to do the advanced class for footing this year. So I'll see how that goes. IAFI's in Denver this year. Who in the heck wants to go to Denver in November? Nobody. So we'll see. Becca doesn't think she has to go for her training this year. We may send one person. We'll see. Maybe we'll send Shayla. I don't know yet. And then Rocky Mountain Association of Fairs, which is the one we do like to go to, is in Billings. Again, another great location in the middle of winter. We'll see if that one. I like to go to that one just because we book Grounds Entertainment from that one, but I went to Billings a couple years ago, and yeah, it's cold. Yeah. Uh, we had to repost our surplus steel, and we are getting some. We got a bidder this time, so $12. Woohoo! Making big bucks on our surplus steel, but we want it cleaned out. So hopefully they'll come and take. There's a lot of steel out there. Zip Trucking is donating us another freezer Connex. So similar to the one that's out there for the Rodeo Association, we're going to put another one right out there beside it so that we'll have a location for ice on the grounds. It's free. I mean, they didn't even bat an eye. They just said, "Sure, Jim, what day do you want it delivered?" And it was like, "Wow, okay. Hold on a second. I got to figure out how we're going to wire it first." And last but not least, we're kind of waiting for Public Works to give us a bill on the track removal. Tom's been working on that so that we know how much money we have left we need to blade out that area where they took the track out, put down some 5/8 gravel so it's nice and smooth so parking can happen back there. I'm assuming we're going to have, I would think we'd have $40,000 or $50,000 left. But it's going to take like a D8 or D9 cat to get through that stuff back there. So Tom will be working on that. The new lighting is done in Southfield. In fact, I turned it on all weekend. I don't know if you drove by, Kevin, after dark. I'm never up that late. I'm usually in bed by 8:30 anyway.
Should have told me.
What's that?
You told me I went up there.
Yeah, I turned them on. I told the staff, I said, "Hey, somebody drive by and take a look at it, see what they think." I've got meetings next week, so I'll be able to see it next week. But I turned everything on. There's 25 light towers now on the fairgrounds, and it's got to look like daylight up here. So I'm kind of anxious to see how it looks. And then Tom did the walkthrough. I know he'd probably tell you about it with the perimeter fencing, and I believe they're going to start on that pretty quick. And then Ricky's wrapping up the cameras now that those light towers are installed. But yeah, 25 light towers. We've got one more project for the lights that I'd like to do, which would be along the green parking lot fence between the rodeo and the green parking lot to highlight that back area of stalls and the back sides of the arena. But I'm going to try to turn in a grant request for the WSDA Fairs Commission for that in September. And then if it looks like we're going to get that, then we would request matching funds through the commissioners for that project next year. And that really should wrap up any lighting that we want to do. It's just dark on the backside of the rodeo arena towards the Green Gate parking lot still. And that's pretty much it. No questions?
Everything else is going good?
Yeah, actually, it's nice these seasonal people we got. I mean, Brody, Colby, and Hannah, she goes by Hannah. They're hard working. Man, so I came up with a project list of things that I wanted to see happen. And in fact, I'm going to go out and I don't want to send them up on a bucket with a chainsaw, so I'm going to do that myself, but go out and cleaning stuff up. The Realtor Association, Alan's supposed to come down. We put a dumpster outside. I told you they left food in the booth. I think I told you that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so Alan's coming down to clean that out, and then we're putting in new counters. Chris is doing new counters in there for them. 2 new swamp coolers, and then we're going to put an air sock in that roof canal. And then next year, I think we'll ask for some capital funds to put a pitched roof, put some trusses on top of that concrete, and put some steel on it and try and get that. And then we'll get the hood. The hood fans got serviced, which made a huge difference in the amount of air that thing sucks through there. So I went out there last week and turned them on, and you almost get a windstorm in there. So that's good. And Chris is checking into getting fire suppression in that booth, pricing. But then that's going to mean we're going to have to close off the window behind the grill and put stainless up. And so we really want to make sure the airflow in there is good before we go for that. The Azars booth is looking good, man. They got it painted for us. The hood installation's happening right now, and then I'm not ordering any more equipment on Capital, except some stainless tables. I'm just waiting to see how everything lays out in there before we order anything else. But it's going to be a nice booth. I will say too, Flannel Fest tickets are going well. They're well ahead, at least a month ahead of last year. So other than that, everything's going really good. I do have to have kidney stone surgery though coming up, so I'm going to ask for a day off or two. Second time in 2 years. Sucks.
Did you just have a 3-day weekend?
I know I should have got it done. I'm trying to, okay, I knew you were going to be pushy about this, Kevin, but I'm going to try and time it for Juneteenth. So if I get it done on the 18th, then I'll take Friday the 20th off too, and then
There you go.
try and recuperate. I want to get it done before fair. If you remember 2 years ago, I passed kidney stones during fair. That was not a fun process. Yeah, not good. I got to figure out what's causing them though. They haven't figured that out yet. Not enough beer, maybe.
Possibly.
Well, it's possible. Maybe it's, yeah. No questions?
Probably not enough water.
I drink tons of water. You sound like my wife. You're not drinking enough water, honey. Yeah, I do. I drink a lot of water. Nothing else? Cindy, you're awful quiet.
So you're gonna have lights on tonight?
I could turn them on tonight, but are you going to stay up that late?
Watch it.
I told Shayla was going to see if she could get a picture because we had a quinceanera, and so we were going to tell the guards to take pictures. So,
I'll go up
because we don't have camera access yet. They haven't got the new camera access for us on our computers yet. As soon as that comes on, then we'll be able to see.
Yeah, I'll go take a picture.
All right, that's all I have.
Thanks,
All
Jeff.
right, we'll go into a brief recess.
Thank you.
And we're back with the risk safety update.
Emergency.
Good morning, it's 11 a.m. and we are here for risk and safety coordinator update with Blair Cook.
Good morning. So just want to give you an update on some claims, new claims, and then some updates on claims. On 5/14, Public Works had an employee had lower back pain, was chaining a grader on a lowboy, felt some pain in his lower back. Throughout the day, it got worse, and then left work early, saw a doctor, and then missed work for a couple days. On 5/19, for claim 1722, it's the Chelan County with the Sallyport Gate. It was closed. All we have to do is pay the deductible on that. It was our fault. The gate had a malfunction and hit the Chelan County van. So we're just waiting for the check to be paid by Youth Services. On 5/23, Public Works had a chemical reaction while they were moving trash on the face. They hit something, they're not exactly sure what it was, but chemicals got dispersed out on the face at solid waste. They had 3 public vehicles out there with members of the public. The crew up there did a phenomenal job. They were able to get the public off the face for about 15, 20 minutes. The chemical dissipated, no more chemical. They left, and no calls or claims have been made by the members of the public. The staff has been monitoring it, but they're not sure what happened, if someone threw something away that they weren't supposed to or what, but they were unable to find anything. On the 25th, also at Solid Waste, there was a fire. They called the fire department. The staff out there did a great job working with the fire department. They excavated the area. The fire department put the water on the fire, and then they did have a couple flare-ups throughout the night. Jackie and Jeff stayed on scene till about 9 p.m. putting the hotspots out. Early in the morning, found a hotspot with smoke, and Jeff put it out. Not sure exactly what caused it. Could have been a battery, could have been a lot of different things. They're unsure, but they did a great job working with the fire department. Could have been a lot worse. With talking with Brian, it could have got down all the way into the liner and burned through the liner, which would have been a really bad thing for us, but it didn't do that. So that's a great thing for us. Also on the 25th, sheriff's office, deputy was driving out on the sand, went over a sand berm and bottomed out and did some front end damage on the front of his car. It will be handled in-house out of Public Works. They're going to fix it, and we're looking about $1,000 to $2,000 they're quoting us. Had some meetings, met with the WSU Extension Office, and also got to visit their location. So met with Andy there. Also met with Developmental Services and got to talk with them and see how things go there and see what issues they have with everything that they do, because they're quite a different branch than what I normally thought. So it's quite interesting to meet with them. With the accident prevention program, HR is reviewing it. I did send it to Tom Gaines to review as well. After that, I will be sending it to the department heads and elected officials for their review. And then once I get that back, we'll do all the edits and then send it to you guys for final approval to send out, and then we'll send it out to all the employees. On the 28th, we had the safety meeting, the monthly safety meeting. One of the things out of the safety meeting was having the incident review committee start reviewing some of the claims that are coming in. So they have the process down of how it's going to happen, so we can work all the kinks out before we get the new form in place. All we're doing is waiting for a couple more licenses for Laserfish for the different departments. We still need some more licenses for that. And then once that's done, the form I built is ready to go. So we just have to get that approved and then have the different departments approval for the managers. I did a training with MRSC for wildfire preparation and response, and I was talking to Tom about that this morning, about any concerns Grant County has for wildfires. But the nice thing about Grant County, we don't have a lot of trees or areas of concern for wildfire. However, Quincy just did have a wildfire this weekend out at Ancient Lakes. So the major concern here is going to be wildfire smoke. And that is a concern, and that is also addressed in the accident prevention program. It does talk about what we need to do for addressing it with the smoke, how we're going to address it, and then also our employees that are working outside and addressing it with the employees and keeping them safe when they're outside. So moving forward with that, in the next, by 2027 to 2030, we should be getting a report from the state on wildfire in our area. So once we get that, we'll be able to dig into that and see what their areas of concern are, and we'll be able to move forward on that to address any of their concerns and pass it on. But until then, we're kind of at a standstill till we get it from them. So with MRSC, we do get free training codes from Clear Risk, WCRG. So if you see any trainings you want to go to, let me know and I'll give you a free training code to them. That is all I have. Any questions?
Did we get email from the health department on that smoke training? I think they're having some kind of a smoke thing.
No, I didn't get that one.
About 6 weeks ago, 4 to 6 weeks ago.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
I'll forward it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Have you looked at any of the GovU courses and selected those down for us yet?
The GovU or the, or Lexipol?
Is it,
Lexipol, the Lexipol is the one we went through.
is
So
it Lexipol GovU?
no, different.
Oh, okay.
So Lexipol, yes, we have got it we're basically broken it down to what we're gonna be going with. We just got to get the approval from, the, different departments and their, oh, I'm blanking on it. Oh, what am I trying to say? It'll come to me in a minute, but yeah, we're just waiting for approval.
Yeah, Lexipol Local GovU.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you're right. Correction, yes. I'm so used to saying, yeah, we have it.
Cool.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the approval from the different departments.
Anything else for Blair? Anything for us? All right, we will go into recess until 11:15 when we are back for a treasurer's update. Good afternoon, it's 11:16 a.m. and we are here with Darrell Pheasant for a treasurer's office update.
All right, first thing is I'll be gone next week. I talked to Carrie about filling in for me next week. We're still in the middle of a process to put our original tax statements on the website, a link for all those people who want the original tax statements, and then do that for the future tax statements. So we can hopefully avoid a lot of phone calls of people and just direct them to that site instead of us having to go through all the work trying to get PACs to do all these things that don't take forever. County treasurers had turned in a lot of ideas of fixes that PACS needs. PACS is only one of the top 10, so we haven't had our meeting to put it all together and see what our top 10 is. I'm still pushing that we actually need to meet at least once a year and start doing things as a totality and versus individual requests, and really talk about what can and cannot be done. What I've found out on the question that was sent regarding to Department of Revenue, what I was told on the state assessed utilities, I don't remember if I mentioned it last week, is that you're not allowed by state law to make adjustments, as what she had been talking about all this time. Early last week, I heard that it was going to be all the fixes to state assessed utilities will be in July, which means all the parcels will have to have refunds, rebills for additional amounts of every single parcel, sounds like, from my office to fix it, to send out to bill the people what they were supposed to be billed the first time around. So I keep asking, and I never got a response to my email from her of what's going on. I had to find that out from Matt. I was told last week, and we just saw it this morning, another huge refund for $384,000. So we're filling out the paperwork and giving it to Matt to make sure she signs it, and because somehow when it gets given to another employee in that office, it seems to not land on her desk very fast or it gets lost quicker.
Is that another data center?
Possibly. I don't know. I've also posed a question to Matt. When you have all these huge refunds that have major negative revenue impacts on these taxing districts, especially for cities, do you give them a heads up so they can possibly have the choice to consider slowing down spending if you're not going to get the revenues? Right now, that's not part of the assessor's desire to make those communications. So it's strange that those type of major events happen, and we keep the districts in the dark. So we'll have to do something. But when they complain, I'm just saying, as I assume that you would have got something from the assessor's office letting you know this was happening. But that's not happening. So I sent some emails to Department of Revenue today, asking more questions on the TIF because I don't think I've got what I'm supposed to have. And then again, on communication, how does communication from get out to the taxing districts of the revenues they're not getting because of the TIF? It seems in talking to other counties, that's being done by the assessor's office, but that has not been done by our assessor's office. So I'm trying to ask the question, who's responsible for doing all these things? And trying to get something in writing to hopefully get some changes done for this communication to our taxing districts. So we actually, at the time of our having to turn in data for our postcards for delinquent taxes, how many parcels, we had over 6,800 parcels that were delinquent. But when you combine all the same name, same address, exact same name, same address postcards and put in multiple parcel numbers on those postcards, the number of postcards going out is now just over 4,300. So we'll be paying postage on 4,300 instead of 6,800. So we'll save some money that way. And probably the postage that I paid up front will probably definitely be too much. And we'll use that to offset the costs of the other part of the equation of their work for Master's Touch. All this is happening out of the Treasurer's O&M fund. Right now, we're at 140 parcels that are eligible for closure. Today is the day we lock down the website where they're not allowed to make online payments on delinquent parcels because we don't want a debit card being paid and then reversed after we file a certificate of delinquency. With the volume, we're not sure how fast we'll get the certificate done and filed with the courts. At the time we file that CD, all years will have to be paid and not just the 22 and below. We do have like 3 parcels that are in current use that are causing that are the foreclosure, and we have 1 weed lien that is causing a foreclosure for this year, eligible, and then the rest of them property taxes, besides the delinquent taxes they have. Also notice on June 13th in the paper was the trustee sale for the Freda Collision Center. And in the paper, they recognized the personal property that's inside too. Now, the numbers they had in the paper were not the amounts owing. They're more is owing than what they stated in the paper, but hopefully, and that's one of our foreclosure parcels, or 2 of our foreclosure parcels is that. So hopefully we'll get that resolved and out of our sale, and because that would have been very popular in a foreclosure sale. But so that's what's happening. Trying to catch up a lot of things before I'm gone next week. State pool rate went up a little higher. We ended up with almost 200 million in the state pool, besides all the monies that we had in outside the investments. So right now, everything's looking fine. Right now, the Fed doesn't plan on doing any rate cuts for any time soon. And so that may mean a lot of our investments will get at least another quarter before they get called. So that's fine with us. We're playing to the 3 months, and if we get more, that's better for the pool. Yes.
Is your foreclosure sale going to be in 2025 or 2026?
Well, right now, we're expecting hopefully sometime in November of 25. And we're, we had just 1 due notice problem in our sale. And plus, since I had a brand new person, I was really giving a lot more time for her to do the process. She's really a lot comfortable. Vicky's a lot comfortable now in the process and all the things that are expected and all the different, sometimes I'd say something and she interpreted it differently. So when you find you both didn't connect on those communications, that causes delays. That gave the people a lot more time to redeem. So now we're just, I think think she's quite comfortable with the process now. But what need to be done and all the things that are required. So she's got her work groups with her foreclosure work group, email group, work group to talk to of other counties, to ask questions when I'm not around. Or sometimes I just say, go ask your work group. Ask what they think. Sometimes I may be doing something and I'm up to making the process better. And it's good to find how other things are being done in other counties and see if we want to tweak some things of what we're doing. Can I stop talking?
Yes, you can.
Whenever you're ready.
It's hard. So, I don't have anything else for the group. So, actually, I've talked to a lot of people. They're excited about the roundabout. In fact, I hear from people that they deliberately go take a long route to the other roundabout to go to Moses Lake and avoid that intersection. So all those people will love not having to take the jag just to avoid that intersection. So everything going fine. I saw the transaction on Thursday for the county's purchase of that property for the morgue. We had 40 affidavits processed on Friday. Probably 25 of them were sales. 10 from contractors, and we had a lot of sales. All of them were above, all but one were above the value the assessor's office had. And the other one was like $615, they paid $615 and we had it at $625. So right now, prices aren't going down. Somewhere for 150% more than the value. Somewhere about 20% more than the value. So things are still jumping. We'll see how the summer months go. When's the next Gourd gig? Gourd show? It's not important. Okay, I just keep filling time, but I think I'll give you. I'll give you 3 minutes. I'll let you. I like to spend my 3 minutes, whatever they do on the Congress. Pass back the remainder of my time. All right.
All right, we'll go into brief recess until 11:30 a.m.
Blanket.
Good morning. It's 11:30 a.m. and we are here for Assessor's Office update with Melissa McKnight.
Morning.
Hello.
Quick reminder, my chief appraiser, who's also my chief deputy, and I will be at our conference next week. Monday through Thursday. But I will be available via email and my work phone. And I do check in with the office all the time.
Where's your conference at?
Walla Walla.
Wine country
Yeah.
and wheat.
I'm trying to think. We're completely in picking up new construction. So
That should be keeping you busy.
yeah.
Lots of them out.
Yeah, we've had some appraisers start weeks ago, and then now we have everybody on new construction. My new hire immediately started out in the field. We had him going out with other appraisers to help, because it always goes faster when you have two people measuring. So that's how he kind of got his feet wet. Now he's in the office learning how to enter stuff. We're on track of getting everything done in time. We still having some issues with Moses Lake not getting us their permits in the past, and we're stumbling across those issues now. we're trying to work out what we can when we were out there and we see something and we don't have a permit for it. They'll pick up the information and then we try to backtrack with Moses Lake to find the permit. We'll do that as long as time permits. If time doesn't permit, it'll go on as omitted and they'll lose the new construction. We've talked to them many times. So hopefully they'll be better stewards of that. We were able to get our smaller ones all ironed out. Mattawa, Rail City, before going into. So now we're just kind of fighting with Moses Lake a little bit. We'll do our best to get it all on. Sorry, I'm tired today.
So how does that work with like the new Simplot building, the SELA building?
We pick up.
13 building?
We pick up what's there. If it's not completed, we'll pick up a percentage. We have an Excel spreadsheet that calculates the percentage.
So do you guys actually do those, or do you have?
New construction we pick up.
Even when they're that large of a
Yeah.
project?
Yeah, once it's completely built and they're up and running, we hand it to the state. But they don't do new construction, so we make sure we get the new construction on the rolls.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically that's our commercial appraiser and Matt picks up the big industrials. They'll go out there and work them together. Typically they wait until July so they can get the bulk of it. And they make sure they go check the data centers and stuff, because sometimes things get built without us knowing it. So we make sure we do drive-bys. I know there's like a task force regarding data centers and like PUD that the state put together. I met with Alex Ybarra. I'm getting them some data for that. Had a little conversation about what the county taxpayers have to pay. Luckily, one of the legal fees came in that literally as I was meeting with him. And so I shared with him 1 month worth of legal bills for industries. He was a little shocked. It's like, yeah, you guys get the benefits over there, but the rest of the taxpayers are also paying for this because they're not as good of stewards as they say they are. So it was an eye-opener for him, and I wanted to make sure that that little task force knew what was going on. I said, you need to reach out to Douglas County because I know they're having the same problems, because Jim and I talk all the time. In fact, we have ones of the same data centers. We have the same lawsuit. So we communicate all the time on them. So it was a little bit of an eye-opener for him. That's all I really have today. Anybody have questions?
None.
Okay,
Any questions? Nope.
I've got,
Quick and easy.
yeah,
All right.
got to go review policies to get them back today because they were due. And I was like, oh, that's what I forgot to do. So that's what I'm working on.
Recess until 1 p.m. and we're back for PMR. Good afternoon. It is 1:01 p.m. and we are here for position management review. How many positions do we have today?
We have no positions today. However, I do have a topic that I thought would be appropriate to bring through PMR, because it does impact or could impact several non-represented employees. So last year in bargaining sessions, the board did agree to represented employees at 20 years to get an increase in the vacation days. We have employees now who are non-represented, who are asking if the county is interested or willing to move it through policy. So any non-represented employee would also.
Did we do it for everybody, every
Every-
union?
Yeah.
And then apparently we did not hit the exempt employees.
Correct,
Okay.
exempt and non-represented. So
So how many employees is that we?
approximately 39 that it would impact
Oh, only 39.
right now. Yeah, that have been here more than 20 years. Rough estimate. Any from payroll, any concerns?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I would imagine that it would have budget impacts.
No, because I mean, it would just replace days that they're there, so their amount of pay wouldn't increase any.
Would this be like, so retroact, like, so we'd go back to Jan 1 and give them more hours of what they should, if they've been here for 20 years or longer, give them more hours, or starting, moving forward, they would accrue more?
Well, I would recommend going forward.
Yeah, I like that better, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rather than retroactively.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah.
Because it would be a policy change if we did it, and we would need to go through the steps to do that policy change, so.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's good, that's even better.
So no payroll concerns, no budget concerns.
So that means they would just have to hurry and get their work done before, like a vacation, before or after. 'Cause it seems to wait for you sometimes.
We might-
No impact to the budget unless we do,
Leave buybacks.
We do, we only do half of the, what is the buyback policy for?
Well, we don't have a buyback
Okay.
policy within the county for non-represented, but we do have some bargaining units that after so many hours of, you have to take a week of vacation, or actually, I think most of them say 10 days, then they can choose to purchase back or buy back those leave days. Or get cash them out. So they're not gone, they're just getting cashed out for the days.
I don't believe it's discounted any. I know we discount sick leave 25%, but vacation should be 100% earned, 100% paid out.
Can I make a request? Can we do it like a nice, like starting January 1 or something like that, or July 1, sorry, July 1, 2025, just a nice neat, like beginning of the month?
That would be next month.
Even if it's in the middle of the paper?
No, preferably like at the start of the month. At the start of the month, like just, yeah, as of August 1st or July 1st.
I go the 23rd, just to make
That's
it
my
hard for
birthday,
you.
though.
Oh. How much extra are they gonna get?
So it's one extra day, right?
I think it was two.
Two extra days.
2 extra days. I didn't go to the department check. I think it was
Putting me
two
on the
wrong.
spot.
Yeah, I think it was 2.
You can be fine, it's fine, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't?
No, that's not, it's just how
Well,
you
'cause,
feel for
I
it.
don't- I
So
think
first
the
you
board
get
received
so
an
that you're
email.
okay. Good question, I
Yes,
hit me
you
what you
did.
meant,
Okay.
so it's okay, for legal, this specific,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for asking.
I think it was 2 days. They get 22 currently, up to, 22 currently.
That's it?
Yep, so it would move them from 22 to 24 days a year.
But I thought our longevity now starts a little later. Instead of the first year, isn't it like year 4 or 5? They don't get anything until year 4 or 5.
Right, at 5.
But that's only for the bargain employees.
That's for bargain. That would be another topic that we had discussed during bargaining sessions, is that the way that the county wanted to move going forward is to move all of longevity that direction.
Well, it's hard to move a piece of it, just one, because there were 2 pieces of it. One, adding additional days, but then not paying longevity in the very beginning.
Right, because longevity,
Or it wouldn't kick in the first year, it would.
Right, it would kick in year 5 rather than after your first year. So then it adds it to the end where you get more at the end of your term with the county, right? Yeah.
So I'd like to look at, yeah, I guess we need to review the whole thing instead of just picking and choosing where we like this part of it, but we don't want to lose. We would basically just kind of slip.
The longevity and vacation are 2 separate topics.
Okay, but I thought they didn't get longevity until year 5.
Correct.
Sorry, did I say vacation? I meant longevity when I'm talking. So we pushed it back for the
longevity.
So they didn't quite, they don't start acquiring it until year 5.
Correct.
Because currently right now.
Currently right now, it's, they start at year 1, but the board's intent, I believe, through bargaining was to move the county at some point to that, and it would be new onboarding employees who, like if we hired somebody tomorrow and the policy was in effect, then they would start at that 1 year, just like we're doing for bargaining. The bargaining groups who start at year 5. That makes sense?
Yes, so I just feel like instead of extending it, we need to add the whole package too, not just.
So you want to adjust vacation and longevity?
No, just. Longevity doesn't start until year 5.
For bargained employees.
But currently for non-bargain, they start right now.
Yes.
Because that's
But,
what our policy is. That's what the policy is.
So we're talking about, like, I'm looking at this email, so they want additional 2 days added on for longevity.
No,
Annual.
for annual leave, not longevity.
Okay.
But you're right that that one also needs to be updated.
She does say in the first sentence, she says incentive for longevity,
Okay.
but it's the annual leave. The longer you're here, you would get those 2 extra days at year 20, which is longevity, but not
Annual leave, okay, so
yeah,
it's annual leave.
but not the longevity.
Yeah.
Wage increase.
Annual leave.
Yes.
And I think we as commissioners, when we were looking at it, you're basically just moving it up because they don't get it as soon. You know, they wait till year 4 or 5, then they start getting it, and then it is extended.
For longevity.
For longevity.
Yes.
But annual leave didn't change. Annual leave still starts at the original time.
Okay. For the additional.
But then they get an additional 2 days after 20 years. Because currently it stops at 15. So it's that incentive of you've been with us for 20 years and.
But that's for bargain.
Currently
And
that's.
she's non-bargain now and she wants to see that.
Yes, bargained employees have it.
Kind of makes sense, but.
Non-represented
What's
employees
HR
do not.
recommendation?
HR recommendation is for consistency purposes that we add the 2 days.
I would probably agree with that.
I agree too. I like consistency.
I have a clarifying question. Is it after 20 years as the beginning of your 21st year or at your beginning of your 20th year?
That's a great question. You need to look at the way it's written. I think it's
At the start of 20.
at the start of 20, I think.
20th year?
Yeah. It's written in the contracts.
Start of year of service 20.
Yeah.
Your 20th year. And you guys can go back and look at, in 2023, when we bargained, that went effective January 1st of 2024. So you guys go back and see who was added, just to make sure, to verify that. 20th year accrual will begin January 1, 2024. So when we settled, it was like in May. So then the county went back. So there would be a list of, I think it was
10 people at that point, that this would have affected.
Does the board have any comments, concerns, statements they'd like to make, questions to ask?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Minutes clarification, can I just read this back? Yep. Commissioners approved to approve to start the policy, just more of the word, 2 extra annual leave days per year for employees at 20 years of employment. Did I get that right?
I think we're just to discuss, we didn't make a.
Yeah, we didn't make a decision. The decision will come tomorrow
Gotcha.
in my meeting, or they'll say, let's table it, need more information.
Thank you so much. I will delete that.
Are the accrual rates in the policy?
Yeah, I'm trying to do, pull up the policy here.
If we're gonna be changing it, can we make it the accrual amounts in an addendum? And that way, when we make changes, we don't have to update our policy?
How do you mean?
So the actual amounts accrued and that will be however they're based on, so many years of service, this many as an addendum to the policy, and that will gets in. So the next time we have a change to accrual rates, we can just get the addendum updated without actually having our policy go through a revision and update.
Yeah, that's doable.
Okay, so we must have a new one that's not posted. So currently after year 2, it's 8 hours, years 3 and 4, 24 hours a year, years 5 through 9, 40, and then it stops at year 15. So we have another one that should have been, and that was 2017.
That was the last time that was updated.
Okay. So, but we have one for the union.
Well, that's not a policy, that's a bargaining.
Oh, a bargain, okay.
Yeah,
Where
that's a
will I
contract.
find- Okay,
What contract did you bring up to read it out of?
okay, contract.
So yeah, if you go to the courthouse contract, you'll see the language there.
It's page 30.
Thanks, Gina. You're so efficient. Of course, you are.
And what year was it, 20?
23, 24, or 24, 25.
Okay, right here.
Anyway.
Page 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, how this request that came through. Was it just a discussion? I don't have a background, I guess, that's what I'm curious about.
Well, it was presented by bargaining units originally. And through bargaining, the board talked about it. This recent one was an email by an employee saying, wondering if the non-represented employees would receive it as well.
No, I was just curious though, so as a non-representative, I could just ask you guys to make a call, is that to consider? I'm just curious, because I was always curious about how.
So originally, like Decorah said, this provision came up during bargaining, right? And so that went into the labor agreement, which is public. And so this employee saw that, used to be in the association, is now not, and asked back in 24, me, why didn't I get this increase? And the answer was, you aren't in a collective bargaining agreement. And employees who are part of collective bargaining agreements get things that other employees don't. However, it was the intent of the board at the time, like Decorah said earlier, to update the policy so that it was in uniform and so that it was consistent. However, there has been a lot on HR's plate. There's been some turnover, and so that just hasn't happened yet. Plus, the county's currently going through a policy revision anyway, so
trying to catch all of the things
at
one time rather than
No, it's fine. I was just curious
Fiddled
as
all
a
over the place.
non-represented. We obviously don't have anyone fighting for us, so I was just curious how we couldn't try to make a change if we wanted to change it. So just asking you guys.
Asking HR, asking the board, asking a department head or elected official is, can like this. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get nothing.
Yeah, and this person specifically talked to your predecessor
Oh, okay, gotcha.
who said that it would happen, so.
I try to print it, but I don't hear printing over there.
Oh.
I'm printing somewhere else.
Hopefully just the page and not the contract.
No, yeah, I just had a couple pages.
Okay, well, and that's all I had. Of course, decision isn't made during this meeting, so board comes up with any questions, chat about it tomorrow, or if you're ready to make a decision.
Oh, it's probably printing upstairs,
Yeah.
sorry. I'll have to run upstairs. Okay, so our policy is very easy. Not the union. Every 2 years, it's 8 hours, 3 and 4, 24 hours. And the other one, it's very like, I'm sure they're upstairs waiting for me to grab them.
Yes, I'm sure.
And I will share those with Kevin, because Kevin's probably thinking, what the heck are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
When you see it, it makes it so much easier.
Could you tell by the look on my face?
No, because I have no idea. I'm still trying to get the annual leave and I know what I'm
There
looking at.
was
it
a
just not
question
usually-
mark that popped up over your head.
Sure, they're probably.
Yeah. What? And my
Little
question
icon.
is, because we're all inaccurate here, so. It's additional payday. You can see the list and it'll all make sense.
It all makes sense. Okay, that's all I have, so thank you.
That's it?
That's
Oh,
it.
and PMRT, we can do, not PMRT, we can do an update on the salary.
Oh, would you like to?
We can do it. We met with some of the elected officials and one department head. Besides Cora.
Two, we had Tom and Andy.
Oh, Andy, yeah.
And then, so we had 2 department heads and 2
Elected
electeds.
officials. I'm just throwing everybody under the elected official one. Moving forward. And we did talk about a retreat, possibly having an elected official department head retreat. Talk about some of our goals and we did review our
Mission
mission
statement
statement, but we probably should have a poster of it down.
should be
Some people
on
do it,
every
some
wall in every office. Yeah.
But moving forward on it and just working on HR, you guys are putting a lot of work to make sure everything was categorized with job descriptions. So we basically talked about our counties, comparable counties. We talked to, and then finding that each county, we have some. The sheriff pointed out maybe a disparity with one of our neighboring counties because the sheriff is not over the jail where he is over the jail, and
Right.
Public Works, they have a lot more roads than another county in the state. Kind of doing some comparables there, but
There's a lot of factors in play when it comes to choosing your comparable counties.
and then that list of comparable counties will come back to the commissioners to verify or to approve. We're
Yes,
moving
and
forward on it.
that we will need to present to Compensation Connections. I think our deadline is the end of June, so.
I want the commissioners to take over the jail, is that where you going?
No, he was just making sure, like, I'm not just like road deputies, but the jail is its own. I think just pointing out, the jail is another beast that he gets to take care of more when you're doing comparables to sheriff salaries. Just
Yeah.
keep in mind that we use Yakima County, they're not over their jail. Whole new division, yeah, that Joey's over. I don't know.
Is it that way in Benton as well? Didn't Benton just,
Franklin County just took over their jail.
oh, Franklin, okay. That's right.
Walla just, I think they're just opening up their new jail. Walla County.
And is the county taking that over or is the sheriff?
I
I don't know.
didn't ask that question, but I kind of sound like the commissioners were.
Interesting.
But I want to take over a jail.
You too?
Oh,
No, well, I think the sheriff, just makes more sense to have the sheriff because they're pretty much running 24/7. They've got all their lieutenants and their chiefs and they're gonna have their day divided out, their 24-hour day. Yeah. They do not close down it.
Plus, if they make arrests, it kind of puts the ownership on them, right? You know what your jail population is. If you're gonna take someone in, they're gonna be housed, and then it's just that full cycle.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I have no desire to take it over. I don't know about the other two commissioners.
I feel like it's
I've done
not
property
necessarily
management.
ran by that part of the staff, though. I think it's run by Chuck, and then the staff that fall under him. I don't think it's necessarily run by Joey. But that's just an outside opinion.
Maybe he can give an update to the
Yeah.
board on
Yeah,
what
maybe
that looks
Joey
like.
does wanna get rid of it.
Okay.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll go to recess until 1:45 when we are back for work session. Good afternoon. It is 1:45 PM. and We are here for a commissioner work session. What was your topic, Barb?
Okay, so historical research, the commissioners have recently contracted with them for landfill.
Landfill insurance research.
They reached out wanting to schedule a 15-minute intake call. They sent it to Caitlin and I along with Public Works. So the question is one commissioner going to be a part of that? Or all three of you going to be a part of that? Because I'm assuming that Caitlin and I won't be participating in that because you're the decision maker, so.
Yeah, they probably just wanted to schedule with the one of us.
So that's the decision, if you would like one commissioner or all three of you.
If it requires all three, then I think we do all three. If it's just a single one, then that's probably fine too. I don't.
I think they're asking for you to make that decision. What would you like to do? And then
We need all three, because with all three, it'll be a public meeting. Do we want all three? Do we need all three?
I don't think it's necessary. I think they're just wanting information to get started on their research. Contact people or contact information, I would assume, which he has all mine. I don't know if you need mine. I don't have a
Call it
problem.
an intake call. So I'd be happy to schedule it however you would like.
I would schedule with Kevin and Andy or whoever else is needed.
Okay. Have them, should Public Works be the main contact here or is it our office?
I think it mainly needs to be Public Works and Andy can.
Okay, Public Works and then Andy to keep it. Okay, thank you.
Or they can send me emails as well.
Okay.
CC or me or whatever.
Okay. Awesome. Just wanted to make sure how you wanted to move forward with that.
Anything else on that one?
No, thank you.
Okay. Then the email that I had sent about the West Shore project, I had been out there like a month ago and it didn't seem that bad because they had just had the curbs poured and the curbs didn't seem overly high. But then they poured the sidewalks like 8 inches above the curbs and it's a real problem out there.
8 inches over the,
It's like there's a curb, which is where the asphalt's gonna end up being.
okay,
But then there's a curb, which is where the sidewalks
okay,
are.
so it was like the apron.
It's like
or whatever they call
16
it.
inches higher than what it was.
Okay.
So some driveways are literally like a hump.
Okay, so it
Where
is,
it used to be flat into their driveway, it's like that. And it's pretty bad. I mean, you're like 10 to 15% grades on some of them, just humps. So when they were talking about grades, you assume like a smooth drop, but it's not, it's a hump. I took pictures, but
Well, the people that call me, they both drive, two of them drive Teslas, and she's like, I can't get out of my driveway.
links, put them all in an email and send them.
So.
Yeah, so you come off the road, up the little driveway, you know, your approach, and then it goes like this.
Mhm. What happened, you didn't dig down to do the road, we're just putting the road on top of the existing road.
I don't think they
And then-
lowered the elevation enough, didn't consider the
The sidewalk, because it has that,
Another, I'd say
Curve.
probably 6 inches. Height of the driveways on the east side of the road.
But even on the west side, where it used to be kind of like a little incline, now it's like a 16-inch drop off down to their properties.
Mhm.
But it's pretty bad. I mean, I took Public Works' word for everything and John's opinions and stuff and kind of agreed. And then I went out there and I was only like 5 houses down.
So I talked to
down the road.
This is the court.
Oh,
The
this is the
assessor's office?
commissioner's room.
Assessor's office,
Yeah.
down to the right,
Oh,
to your left.
All right.
Right in this corner. So is there a fix other than,
Well, Andy said they were working on a solution, but I think they're gonna have to build them up, and then he said they're probably gonna end up having to pave a bunch of them to make it right, because the slope's just too much. But I haven't got to talk to him. That's why Rob sent me that message,
okay,
because there's,
so they'll have to do,
I would say there's probably maybe 15, 20 on the east side on your way from
Yeah, they said there were.
May Valley Road to
who's got a project going?
Dave Dean's place. I think Dave Dean's place was fine, but everybody before that was pretty steep. Like the Gerbers haven't complained. Haverlows, actually she came into the office. She was a little upset about it.
So it will be, once they get it done, it will be level with the road. It should be, but it's when they drop into their,
It won't, there's no way they're gonna make it.
I mean, not level with the road, but it has to be, what, 8 inches above the road, a sidewalk has to be.
Right, the problem
that
is, a lot of those guys, their properties drop, you know, and they come in pretty low versus where the road, the elevation's much higher on the road. And so they're gonna have to.
Is most of it pavement, HMA, or,
It's all gravel.
so if we just
So we're gonna have
brought in gravel,
to bring in some more gravel and then put a hard surface on there, otherwise they're just gonna tear up the driveway. By the time they try to pull out of there, they're going up an incline, so they're spinning their tires and then.
stabilizers, we probably do our.
You should definitely go look at it. It's way worse than what it's been described to us as.
And I think we probably need to find out from the property owners what they're willing to let us do, because ultimately, it's their problem. I mean, it's their problem that we create.
It was bad engineering. I can't believe they poured the sidewalks. Like the first sidewalk, you should have been like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Well, yeah, I mean, the elevation should have told them that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when they were out there surveying it, when they were.
You'll notice real fast.
That's high.
Because I was going to meet with a couple people and a contractor who's trying to help a few of them. And I only was maybe 4 houses down the road, and I was like, I don't even need to go to this. There's no defending it. So.
Yeah, so I think we need to talk to Andy tomorrow and find out what their solution is, what solution they came up with. We gotta make it right for those people, otherwise. It shouldn't, the burden shouldn't be on them because of our screw up. Or whatever happened, but.
Yeah, it's bad because then you think about, they still have to do the concrete around the mailboxes, right? The ADA around the mailboxes. The way the mailboxes are isn't very good either. And then the drop offs, because if you have a 4-foot sidewalk around the back side of the mailbox, it's even going to be a bigger drop off the mailboxes.
Yeah, unless they bring in some.
It's going to be like feet. Yeah, but then
You
you
can't like slow, because it can't be slow because they're, in case you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have a slope than a drop off.
It's just not, I don't know. It's pretty bad. It's bad. Like there's not any way around it. I went and walked probably 8 to 10 different driveways. And I don't know which one for sure Haverlow is, but I think they're the one that does drop way off. One of those pictures is theirs.
2445.
And I had been there before. I don't think they owned it. Maybe they did, but a renovation was getting done there and I had gone there. And it kind of was like a slight gradual slope, but now it's like a hill that drops down into their driveway. Person I was visiting, they were having a construction company look at doing concrete, but you know, just
So they didn't cut the old driveway out, they just put more gravel on top of it? I mean, the old road, they didn't chip it, or they just went and?
Well, they did take the old road out, but then.
They did.
Yeah, but when they went back on the sidewalks route, they built it all back up. Which in turn made it way too high.
Oh, they didn't have runoff into their house, into their.
So that was the issue with the concrete company, is he said, okay, so these people, they want to do concrete or asphalt right here. Then he said, okay, well now all of your water is going to run into their garages.
True.
So they have to put drains in now. And they were estimating the drain at the one I was at about $3,500.
Well, we should have drains though on the side of the road for our stormwater. We have to take care of our drains. We don't push it onto another.
Yeah, we do. We have there's drains along that.
I think that's why it's probably so high on that one side, so it doesn't.
Yeah, so
Well, it won't flood.
in order to correct this, they're gonna have to put a bunch more gravel down and then pave it. Gravel's cheap, but the paving part is expensive. Then the next problem is gonna be other people down the road are gonna say, well, you paved their driveway, but you didn't pave mine.
Or they're not going to want asphalt, they're going to want concrete. But if you look at that image 6750, I think it's probably a good one to look at because
That's a 3-foot drop.
it used to go pretty level into that one.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not at all. And
It
it
looks like they had concrete prior to our gravel over their concrete.
looks like concrete or asphalt, yeah.
Yeah, they get concrete.
Concrete, and it looks like it's, asphalt or something that.
That one's a big problem. Understand.
Well,
How they didn't notice that one.
yeah, because I thought there was you can't have it too steep, you can't have something with your driveway, you're not supposed to.
Public Works said it's 10% grade max. Any of them over at 10% or more, they're going to have to fix. But the 10% was pretty steep.
Well, but I'm looking at that angle when they come into their property.
60% grade.
Which one?
Or 70% grade.
I don't know.
But
There
the
was
grade
one
is
that
when they
looked
hit
like
their
this.
property.
And the guy that lived there had a Dodge Viper. And it hasn't left the garage since they did it because it can't. So.
Good to see you.
But I just figured it was worth bringing up again and make sure that we'd all gone and actually seen it.
If they had a 1972 car, there's no way the front end or the back end would not hit sidewalk by the time the tires.
Well,
You know, there's
Tesla
no lawn.
Model whatever 3 isn't very low, and that lady, the Haverler lady, she did park on the road because she can't go in her driveway, and it's just a standard car.
She'll have to hit it at an angle, not.
Powerless, I think, are probably just about.
So do they have a ditch? How did they get away with? We just built it up so high.
Okay, we gotta roll into our next one.
Before you do, HR was just letting us know that the Prothman County Administrator advertisement is gonna be $170 some,
Okay.
and I'll get them our credit card.
Okay. Okay, well, it is 2 p.m. and we will roll into our Bureau of Land Management update.
Okay.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Seems like a really big table for just me. Good afternoon, Curtis Bryan. I'm the field manager for BLM in the Wenatchee field office. So I think I've met most of you before. Mr. Burgess, I don't know if I've met you. So it's nice to meet you. Yeah, I typically try to come down every spring, give some updates on what we have going on in the world of BLM. And so that's kind of my intent today, was just to chat about what we have going on in Grant County and answer any questions that you all may have. So any questions before I jump in?
You didn't have any fires over the weekend, right?
We had a few.
But I had a feeling that
we
was
caught them. So, well, that's good. Yeah, that was one of the first updates I wanted to provide to y'all, was kind of a situation on where we're at with fire this year. Obviously, as you all saw, we're into it now, I think. So we had pretty significant fire activity over the last week. 7 fires that BLM responded to as an agency, either with jurisdictional responsibility or as mutual aid to another department. So we, for those who may not know, BLM has suppression responsibility not only on BLM lands, but Bureau of Reclamation lands as well. We have an agreement with those folks, so we provide suppression. So a lot of fires over the weekend. Didn't burn any BLM, but we did have some BOR land that was impacted by some of that. Probably the one that's most notable is the one that happened in Ancient Lakes yesterday. So, or late Saturday, I should say. Big thank you to the county departments. We have a great working relationship with all the fire chiefs in Grant County. And whenever they call, we show up, and vice versa. So it's a great relationship for both parties. So BLM has issued its annual fire restriction order. That's just our initial restriction order that prevents or prohibits, I should say, shooting at steel targets or exploding targets, fireworks, those kinds of things on BLM lands. That's an annual order that comes out. Depending on the conditions over the next couple of weeks, we'll be evaluating whether we need to enter into stage 1 or stage 2 fire restrictions moving forward. Stage 1 would restrict campfires to designated campfire rings, of which I don't think we have any in Grant County for BLM anyway. It would mostly affect some of our sites in Kittitas and Ogden County.
What about Mardon Resort? They are.
That must be somebody else. Bureau of Reclamation, maybe?
Yeah, they were not allowed to light fireworks. I don't know if it was last year or a couple of years ago, which scares them because then if they don't, they put on a very large, the Meesburg family display. And if they don't do that, then people will light their own, even though they're not supposed to. They light their own. So there was some discussion of kind of allowing one large show instead of a bunch of little smaller.
So that is Bureau of Reclamation authorization. We coordinate with them, of course, but the permit for that goes to Bureau of Reclamation. So folks across the street can probably help you with that one, but I understand what the concerns are, for sure. So,
Tell the neighbors they get an old dock, take it out in the middle of the water, set up their fireworks, set them off remotely, and they don't have nothing to worry about.
But the water is a BOR.
I believe that historically they've launched them from maybe the dam itself, and the facility itself is managed by the corporation. So we have had BLM fire staff on location for that in years past, and certainly would respond to any incident that would occur. But yeah, the permit for that activity actually is authorized through Bureau of Reclamation. So they connect with us on fire danger and those kinds of things in advance, but it's really up to them to make a decision on whether they want to do it or not.
Just thinking for safety reasons, over the water, they wouldn't start any fire. So.
Yeah, and I believe some of those compromises have been made in the past. So yeah, my recommendation is to reach out to Lay or what made it. So, the last updates I've got for fire is just on our staffing situations. So we have right now our overhead is staffed pretty well. So our fire management officer, Lonnie Newton, is based out of Spokane. We have an assistant fire management officer in Wenatchee, along with a couple other fire staff, our fire operations supervisor there as well. So in terms of responding and having overhead and the ability to have an incident commander take on more complex incidents, we do have that capacity right now. Where we're particularly short right now is engine captains, assistant engine captains, and seasonal firefighters. So that is something that we are currently lacking as an agency. We have one engine captain at the moment, and no seasonal firefighters for yet. We've got submissions in to hire 17 new firefighters, but they have not been on board. So some of that was part of the federal hiring freeze, delayed some of that hiring, but it's in motion now. And they don't have a good timeline as to when those folks are going to be made available. So that will impact our ability to respond to certain incidents. Over this last weekend, for example, if you saw a BLM resource at the Ancient Lakes Fire, that was every BLM firefighter we had on staff. So, which was about 5. That's who we have right now. So my hope is that by the end of June, we'll have a little bit more help available to us. So, but in the near term, it is something that is concerning us. So that could impact BLM's decision to try to take some mitigating actions maybe earlier than we normally would have, be it additional fire restriction orders in place, just because we don't have the resources to bring them in.
So are they full-time firefighters you would look for the 17?
Folks that were here this weekend are full-time firefighters. Okay. We typically would staff 3 engines on the district that would also be full-time firefighters as engine captains, and then assistant engine captains would also be full-time firefighters.
And then the other?
And after that, we typically will staff 2 to 3 seasonal firefighters on each truck, and so we bring those on here. We lost a handful of we lost all of our engine captains last year. A lot of folks just moved on to other positions. Folks moving up in the organization, had other opportunities. To be honest with you, to be a BLM firefighter and engine captain in the Columbia Basin, you stay busy, and it tends to burn people out over time. So we had 2 engine captains in particular that hit that point, wanted to sit down. They were getting married, had families, and wanted to actually be able to spend some time with them through the summer. So, so they're on to bigger, better things. They're still around, but that left us with a pretty big hole in our engine captain capacity. So we have 1 assistant engine captain right now who's holding down the fort, and he's a great firefighter, but he can't do it well. So, but we do have a couple more folks that are coming to help us out. Like I said, it's just a matter of getting them onboarded in the system, and they have to get through their background checks and those kinds of things. That just takes time. So. Other questions about fire before I move on?
I don't think I have any more, but I'll let you move on.
Okay.
Kind of fascinating.
Yeah, these are just bullet points. So if there's and teasers, so if there's stuff that you guys want to talk more about, please let me know. Other things we've got going on in Grant County, the knock gravel pit up near Cooley City. The county has submitted an application to expand that gravel pit. We are working on that. And so we're in the process of consulting with our tribal partners at the moment and anticipate that we'll be in a position to authorize that here in the next couple of months. That's something that we need to do some additional inventory on, but at the moment, I'm not hearing any red flags or concerns with that pit. So in the meantime, county can continue to use the pit as it's currently authorized. The expansion is something we'll continue to work on to make sure.
Got the one that's north and east of Philly City?
Correct. Yep. Other than that, well, since I'm talking about sand and gravel, we also have a proposal for a sand and gravel pit on the west side of the Saddle Mountains. This is a private pit. For minerals, it's a split estate sort of a project. So BLM owns the surface in which the project is proposed, but the mineral rights are owned by the Mon family. So Gary and Mike Mon. So they've proposed a project down there. It is in an area that has quite a bit of sensitivity and concern for cultural resources in the area. The tribes have all expressed a high level of concern. So I've had some conversations with Gary and Mike about that and just kind of want to put them, at least put it on their radar that those concerns are out there, and that would be something that we'll have to continue to work through. They have expressed an interest in possibly selling those rights to BLM. So I've been in conversations with Gary and Mike over the last several months about process, what mineral rights or surface ownership they have an interest in maybe liquidating. It sounds like from a family perspective, they're looking to, everybody's moved to Utah and they're looking to liquidate their ownership in the area. So we're having some ongoing conversations about what that looks like. In fact, I probably will be calling Mike this week to follow up with him on some of the state stuff. But what that would look like is BLM would do an appraisal of the value of the property that they're interested in selling. If that is that fair market value, appraised value is acceptable to the Mon family, then we would be in a position to try to acquire the funds through probably the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and then potentially purchase that in federal ownership. So that could help resolve some potential split estate conflicts that we've had in the past. They've expressed concern with some of the ongoing rock hounding and stuff like that that occurs in the Saddle Mountains on an annual basis, and so they have some mineral rights there that people don't always pay attention to where the boundaries are, the administrative boundaries. So stay tuned on that, but ongoing conversations there. Lastly, for me, I've got a note here for the Palisades area. This is an area that is currently leased for grazing by Brent Billingsley. So we've been working with Brent on a couple of different projects in that area. We just recently authorized a new water tank for him in one of his pastures that didn't have a lot of reliable water in it. So we have planned to try to pull from an existing well. We authorized that, as well as some upgrades to his existing well infrastructure, and authorize some additional grazing use in the crop pasture for him in the fall, where he would like to wean his calves. That decision was immediately protested by an interested public in Wenatchee. It's not uncommon to see a protest from this individual. So we're in the process of resolving those protests likely to issue a decision here within the next couple of weeks. A final decision, which would basically say, yep, we're going to proceed as proposed. So as soon as that happens, barring some sort of legal action on the part of an appellant, he would be in a position to go ahead and start installing that water line and adding those upgrades. So the other project we've been working on with Brent is just recently authorized. He's invested in possibly using virtual fencing as part of his operation. I believe he's using some of that in connection with some of his leased ground with the Nature Conservancy. And so we've authorized a couple of towers for him to be able to set up and have communication with the callers. New technology, I think he's just kind of trying it out, see how it goes. If it works, great. But it would save him a whole lot of time and energy fixing fences.
Yeah.
So I hope it works out for him, but he should be in a position to install those and put those online whenever he's ready. So, and then lastly, we're continuing to work with him on, we started a land health assessment last year. That report is being finalized now, where we took a pretty comprehensive look at his allotment as a whole, evaluated it against specific criteria that BLM has for rangeland health to see where we're at. It's, like most allotments, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There's some areas that are really in great shape, and there's some areas that maybe need a little bit of help. And so we'll be having some conversations with Brent about those areas in particular where we have some concerns, and seeing what we can do to work together to try to find a solution to make that better. And so Brent's been a really good operator to work with. He's got a good range background. He knows what he's doing. So I'm sure we'll be able to come up with a solution that works for both him and me. So that's kind of the update for the big picture stuff. But just wanted to make myself available for any questions you guys may have about anything I've talked about or anything that's been beaten at you, or you get phone calls.
Can you update me on the King Ranch?
King Ranch?
King Ranch, Cooley City area?
Cooley City. We have a lease with the King family for, I'll be honest with you, it's a scattered group of these little bitty 40-acre pieces of land that are entirely surrounded by the King Ranch. We continue to lease that to him. I know that there was some concerns about some work he did on Bureau of Reclamation with WDFW lands, but that's something that hasn't influenced BLM.
So it hasn't affected you guys at all?
Affected us at this point. If there was a decision there, I know there was a contact. The Department of Ecology reached out to us at one point asking about any information on work that had been done on BLM lands. We don't have any indication that he's done any work. So for us, the King Ranch is status quo. They're continuing to operate on the lease since it's been approved.
Okay. So
Other questions?
Other than the fireworks, and I'm sure they'll get it figured out if they want to light them. I'm gonna talk to her, I can let her know.
it for me. I don't have anything else.
Okay. If you have any advice of how we can buy some reclamation property right now?
Ice? Oh.
Well, who can you point us in the direction to talk to? That would be the biggest thing. Anybody but over across the street. Like hire us.
Yeah, anybody but our neighbors, right across.
I mean, not that they're bad over there, but they've been cut so bad that they don't have time to do anything. Is there anybody?
The folks that
higher
I
up?
deal with reclamation are mostly Mark and Clyde. So,
Talk to them.
outside of that, I don't typically stray too far from in my day to day. There is a regional
I reached out to Boise.
manager in Yakima. Yeah, just keep calling. So I'm sure Mark and Clyde can give you a contact, at least who their boss is. So, yeah, I know that they're awfully thin.
Yeah, that's what they said.
So BLM staffing in Wenatchee is actually better than most. We've managed to do all right. We typically have a full table of organization of 17 folks. Up until last Thursday, I had 15 of the 17 still on staff. But my outdoor recreation plan retired on Friday. So, so now we're down to 14. But so all things considered, we're in better shape than some BLM offices. I spoke with a colleague in another office, not in Washington, a couple of weeks ago. And out of his table of organization, he had 21 people on his TO. He was down to 6. So,
That makes it tough.
Yeah, it makes it tough to get. So, but yeah, things are pretty smooth for us in Grant County. So nothing to get too excited about. Certainly, if you guys do hear from folks that have concerns, please don't hesitate to give me a call. We've been able to work through some of those things in the past. It usually doesn't take too much. So,
You have a card with you?
I don't, but I can give you my contact information.
I'll tell you what.
Barbara's got it.
You.
I told somebody just the other day that I have a whole stack of business cards sitting on my desk and I never remember to bring them with me. But
That way
I
people
will
can't
shoot you.
harass you, so it's a good spot for them. It's a very good spot.
So, and I believe you have my contact information.
Sure you do, yes.
So, okay, well, unless there's other questions, I'll leave you guys to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is 2:21 p.m. and we will recess.